time is now.
NUFC Early Night News with Gary DeJordy Yam Yam, Andrew Boki, and Derek the Mighty Wind. Weekdays from 7:30 p.m. UK, 1:30 p.m. USA. NUFC Talk.
A move across there. I don't know what happens with that. It just seems to always want to jump out of sync for some unknown reason. So welcome on board, everybody. Glad you're with us. Like I say, it's going to be me and Boki. So we need your help in the chat tonight. Let's get some conversations going on. We're here for 2 hours before the guys come on in the late guys. So in the late show. So we are going to be talking about the news, the relevant stuff that's gone around. There's been some elite management statements being called out today, so we're going to have a deep dive into that. Chris Waffers looked into PSR, so we're going to have a quick look into that. And it looks, we'll see where Newcastle land in January when it comes to the monies that we could be capable of spending. So before we get into all of tonight's show, let's have a quick housework break. And then we'll see where we are. So welcome to everybody that's watching across all of the platforms. Thanks to everybody that works in the background. Do an amazing job as always. Don't forget to hit that like button if you enjoy the show. Like I say, it certainly supports the likes of me and Boki coming on early. If you can get us going before the lads come on the late show. So if you can do that, it certainly helps us as a channel to get to other supporters. 2 things you can do. They're totally free. Subscribe. That's the one. And the second one is hit that bell. You will get that 30-minute confirmation that we're going live because we're always live, never edited this show. So like I say, what you hear is sometimes what you get, whether it's right or wrong. We do our best. If you want to support us, again, you can become a member. It's a small monthly fee if you can afford to do so. But like I say, it'll be an amazing present if you do for us all at NUFC Talk. If you've got a question for me or Boki, then obviously throw that in the chat as well with a Q in front of it. Just helps us highlight it. And again, like I say, we are going to look more at the chat tonight than we do normally. But it still doesn't stop you. Like I say, throw that Talk TV super chat. Use the $sign. Use the instructions. Get those little subs towards us because, like I say, this doesn't come free. And as we try and limit the ads as we go forward, it certainly helps us to bring out more content to you guys. Anybody that becomes a member during the show or any of our beautiful members that gift them will also be thanked as we go. Benj is in the chat straight away. I can see that. Boki, you're already there. I mean, look at that, lad. It's like you're with me, and then all of a sudden you're out there in viewer land as well. So welcome on board, what and all. Becca's in there. What's Ben saying straight away? Good afternoon, fellas. Hope you're well. Not looking forward to Sunderland and ruin my Christmas morning. It's funny how people are looking at this as the like the do or die, isn't it? You know, this weekend coming is that there's a number of games, and I suppose what we can do, because Ben's probably hit the nail on the head to start the show with, right? There was a little bit of a, I think it was the Chronicle. Let me just check, see if I've still got it up in the air. So there's 3. What people are saying is the next 3 games in people's eyes are really crucial, right? So for a lot of people, as everybody keeps on talking about, is the derby, right? That's the one that really gets people, you know, up or down. It's going to make or break your season. It's certainly going to make or break your Christmas. But what they've done is they've had a look at what you would accept to be, you know, a gimme. So like what they've put in, the most important match in the next 3 in many eyes is the derby. And yes, of course, nothing would please me more than a 5-0 win. That's what they're saying. But in reality, games against Leverkusen and Fulham are more important as progression in the Champions League and the League Cup is so much bigger. In an ideal world, we win all 3, of course. So what they're saying is, would Newcastle fans really be prepared to sacrifice a derby win if it meant progress in the Champions League and Carabao Cup? A win over Leverkusen in the former would secure a playoff place in the very least and put them probably one win away from the top 8 finish, which is where Eddie Howe and the lads want to be. There's a huge finance involved too. Aston Villa finished 8th in the Premier League last season, won their round of 16 tie against Bruges before losing the quarterfinals to eventual winners Paris Saint-Germain. It's an estimated that they made 45 million from finishing in the quarterfinals. Victory at home in Fulham 3 days after the derby would put Carabao Cup holders into the semi-finals again, a step closer, and another return to Wembley. So is it worth a defeat against the oldest and fiercest rivals? Is it worth losing the first Premier League clash between the two sides in 8 years? So what I want to ask you guys in the chat, would you take the hit against the Mackhams and progress in both competitions, or is it a nay, lad? Is it no chance? I want the Mackhams. I want to slay them. I want to be a Mackham slayer. Because for me, like I say, every game is a derby. Every game should have the mentality of being a derby. There should be no highs and lows, regardless of the team you're coming up against. And unfortunately, the way Newcastle have been this year, it seems very much as though they come out with a different mentality when they're playing a top 6 side compared to the Brentfords. And that's no diss on the likes of them. You know, Fulham, Brentford, Bournemouth, those mid-table boys that are crunching numbers every season, doing really well. We seem to really come unstuck to the lesser teams. So is it the mentality approach that we've already won the game before we've kicked a ball? And what would you be happy with, mate? You're muted, buddy. You're muted.
For me, the derby's everything. That's the first. I said to win this afternoon. Who, strangely enough, doesn't seem that bothered about the derby. But for me, that's the first game that you look for when the fixtures come out this season, and I just want to go out there and smash them. We've got to, and that to me, so far this season, that's the most important game. Yes, I want to progress in the Champions League. Yes, I want to progress in the Cups. Yes, I want to get better in the Premier League. But for me, a win against Sunderland is the massive one this next week.
Yeah, I mean, for like I say, I don't think there is a bigger game in the northeast than this. You know, we talk about these one club, one city as the motto, and it's the same for them, isn't it? You know, there's nobody around them, apart from the lads a little bit further down the road in Borough, and obviously the Teessiders. So it's always a big occasion, this. And I think, like I say, we always talk about the Merseyside derby and the Manchester derby, where you've got two teams in the same city. This always feels bigger to me, and always has done. And it does beg a question, like I say, when the Chronicle put this out. And I thought, oh, you know what? I really want to get my teeth into this because I want to see what other people think. I mean, we have a lot of people obviously questioning, that's a must-win game. But is that literally just for bragging rights? Is that going to get us any further than winning the 2 games that sandwich it? Rather than the bragging rights. You got me?
If you're looking at it from a brain point of view, you're quite right in what you're saying. I mean, to be honest, I don't think there's anything stopping us from winning the 3 games. I think
not if the mentality's there, mate. I agree with you.
You go into it to win the 3 games. However, if you're asking us which game is the most important, me personally, it's a Sunderland game, and that's it. It's nothing to do with the head. It's nothing to do with where we are in competitions. It's simply down to the fact I couldn't stand we're losing to them. I'd rather. For me, the Sunderland games, as I say, the one that you watch out for, and it's the one that you have to win. We'll have to go out there and smash them. Otherwise, the other point is as well, they'll be absolute nightmares for anybody out there who works with them as well. So,
I mean, it's a nightmare now, mate. Even a couple of places above us, it's been an absolute nightmare. Like I say, you wouldn't believe I'm, like I say, in Warwickshire, and one of my girls' best mates is a Mackham. So you can imagine what it's like on the playground nearly every single day you go, and it's all driving towards this weekend. Because I go a lot of times in my shirts. I blaze the flag wherever I can if I like, regardless of the miles, apart that I am from the northeast. Everybody knows I'm a Geordie lad, and everybody knows I'm proud to be that. And it's crazy to think, when you look at it, like he looks at me now with that, that little snide. We've never been massive fans of each other. Don't get me wrong, and it was really funny when our kids got together and said, "Oh, can we have sleepovers?" Because I'm thinking, if her bedroom's red and white, it's no joke. No, I'm joking. I wouldn't go that far. But you know what I mean? And it's funny how, I'm more than happy to talk to him, but he just doesn't want a lot to do with me whatsoever. So it really is funny. Becky, I've seen that you're not well, mate. I hope you're better soon, darling. Like I say, it's lovely to have you on board in the chat again, as always. An avid follower of the show, so thank you very much. And like I say, I hope you're just not in bed with a win. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to say any more. You know what I mean? He's had a bunk off for the night as well. I'm just saying, just putting it out there. Keep them germs to yourself, Gum. But like I say, get well soon, sweetheart. I hope, I hope it's nothing too serious. There is a new strain of flu out there that's putting a lot of tension and pressure on the NHS. If it's not all under so much pressure as it is, we have a new strain of flu. Wynn did text me back and says, as long as it's not COVID, didn't put it in that nicer terminology. He's okay with that. But like I say, you can imagine what he's going through. Bless him, just not feeling grand. I'm sure he's gone to bed with a lemsip. And I hope, like I say, everybody out there keeps themselves safe with this new flu going around. I'd seen that you'd already starred a couple in the chat, buddy. Do you want to bounce them? And then we can move on to the next. Because like I say, it's an interesting viewpoint how people think of this derby. Bragging rights or mentality. That's where we are.
Give us a second. Good afternoon, fellas. Hope you're well. Not looking forward to Sunderland ruin my Christmas, mind. Sunderland won't ruin your Christmas, mate. We're going to smash them.
Yeah,
we're going to win that one,
I still think they're going to have... Becca's just come, Jesus, Derry, don't give me nightmares over that comment about being in bed with Win. Bless her. Go on, mate. Next one.
LOL, did it wind you up the other night? When was I called you Porky? Kind of funny, to be fair. Nothing winds me up, mate. You can call us whatever you want,
Big shoulders, lad. Big shoulders.
Didn't care.
Yeah. Apart from even a Mackham, you've even called the lad a Mackham. I mean, how low can you get?
Have I got nothing better to do than watch your show and Sando? Thanks to him.
Well done, Tony.
Yeah.
Brilliant stuff, mate.
Becca again there. I'm not confident for Sunderland game like most people are. Becca, you've always got to be confident for a derby. We'll win the derby, I promise you.
Well, you can't promise anything though, folks.
I can promise it. At this point, I can see us beating the German team 5-0. We beat Sunderland. I think we're playing so much better. Sorry, they're playing so much better than us right now. And the last one, would you take losing the cup game and tomorrow game in exchange for winning against Sunderland, though? If it was a direct choice. If it was a direct choice, yes, but I don't think it is.
No, yeah, but Christian, the first thing I want to say, mate, is well done this morning. It's nice to see Chris on the ropes. Them jabs and jabs and jabs. Just get him stepping back before you went with that right hook. Superb. Some great comments there. And like I say, mate, if you're free, we've got a chair. We've got a chair just to the side of us, just here. You can jump on board anytime. Now, that's what I just said. Are we just looking at bragging rights, though? Because financially, it doesn't award us with anything at all, does it? So even though, like I say, we're all fans and we all know how much that means for the North East on bragging rights, financially, it makes the club no better off, no worse off. It's just another loss in the loss column. And the banter, if you like, and it's like I say, that's where it's been for a few years now. And don't forget, there was a long time where we just couldn't win. you couldn't buy a win against these buggers. So we all know what that was like and how it felt. And like I say, we have turned a corner a little bit. So that's the thing, isn't it? Now you've got to start saying to yourself, we know, and we're going to come on to something that Waff's written about PSR and where we are in January, and how PSR is all going. And I haven't really read, because it was just something that as we come live on air, I saw a snippet of it. I thought, you know what, I'm going to jump on board with that because I'm really interested in where we go as a club in January. And so for me, as much as it means a lot in the bragging rights and in the playground for me, I still want that financial. I want the gap to start closing. And the only way we close gaps is by winning the important games. Now, you and Win at the presser this afternoon. Great job, boys. Superb. I was in the background, like I say, doing some work. Had you in my ears while I was tapping away at the computer. And it was interesting again, you know, because like you keep on saying, the bread and butter is the Premier League, because we need to be getting the Champions League to obviously keep hold of some of these players that are potentially having their heads turned. There's been lots of numbers being flying around at the moment, and like I say, it's something that we can come into as well during the show. So for me, the only way you get, it's like a double-edged sword for me. The only way you get the players to stay is in playing in the high end of Europe, and the only way you attract more players is by, you know, playing in the high end of Europe. The other problem we have is the fact that the other players that you want to bring in with a credible name also want top training facilities, also want a decent ground to play, and also want decent wages, and it just goes on. The list is incredibly long. So that's where I am at the moment. It's like, you know when you go to them crossroads and there's no signposts, and you're like, I just, which way do I go?
Yeah.
As you said, if I had my choice, I'd take all bloody three, and there'd be no sorries.
But there's no reason why we can't do all three, Gary. I mean, there's no reason why this week we couldn't pick up 3 wins. I don't think we'll have to go down the point of making a choice. I just think we've got a good squad now. We do need to rotate a little bit, but as long as we don't rotate too much, the one thing I would do is choose a back four for these 3 games and stick with the back four. So stick with the same back four, but quite happily rotate the players in front of them, and give a a little bit of rotation there, but not loads, and get the points and get through in the cup competitions. Because if we win the Champions League, basically we're through. We're through. Just there, and it's up to us whether we want to push to be top 8 or we'll go through. It's obviously having to play the game. If we get through in the Carabao Cup, that's brilliant. And if we pick 3 points up against the Mackems, then you've got to say it's been a good week.
I agree, mate, and that's what I said. I mean, for me, like I say, every game now has to. I mean, we're at that crunch stage. I mean, I think it was the 11th of December. I know you guys were talking about. I think it was winning Chris rather than you, mate. To be fair, you know what my memory's like. That was talking about it earlier on. About, you know, when did we start to really improve last season? Well, it was about this time. You know, this is that time of year where whatever happens to Eddie Howe, he seems to tick the box. And again, the only thing, he must have them all plugged into electric supply, where he taps in a few codes so they all come out better footballers. Because I haven't seen, you know, where the change comes from. And I think it was around about the 11th of December last season where that flick of that switch happened and that run appeared of 9 games unbeaten, you know. So are we going to have the same run? Who knows? Because we have got a deeper squad. Is it better? Again, who knows? As these new players come into the side, that's made us a little bit unhinged ourselves in our play, because we are trying to transform an Isak way now into Voltemada's way. And that transitional period is where we are still in that little bit of a rut. Have you got anything behind that, or do you think that is just paper talk?
I think Voltemada is a different player, isn't he? He's a different type of player from what we used to with Isak. But he's a good player. It's just getting him right in the team. And to be honest, I think that's probably one point I agree with Win on, that he probably will be better playing with another striker up front, or a more number 9 type of striker, and him being number 10.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think that's what we need to do. But if that's that must be the plan, because they knew what type of player they were buying when they got Voldemort. So if that is the plan, then we do need another striker, at least one more,
Yeah,
if not
like
two.
I think that's the problem now, isn't it? It's the fact that we still need, and we still. That's what I said. The list is still long, mate. You know, even though we have made the squad better, I say we've tucked in the edges of the bed and we've got the creases out at the top, but it's still a long way off, mate, of being a world elite team, which was branded the title by the new CEO. And like I say, he's got a long way to go. I can see Christina's got a place where she can set herself up. I still look at that one from Becca. Geez, Gary, don't give me nightmares. It'll be 6-0, says Christina. That's what I said. She's going to be the vice president, happy clapper. She is going to be with the mighty Win, giving him all the support against the Bokies and the Jeffos. It's going to be 2-on-2. Where are we? Like I say, if you I haven't got a working laptop, so I'm only on my phone at the moment. Chris tells you can check to see if we work. Yeah, cool. Like I say, speak with Christina. You're more than welcome anytime, sweetheart, along with us on the panel. It'll be nice to have some more ears and thoughts, to be fair. Right, then let's get on with the finances, because like I say, I don't want to bore people because I haven't read this. So if it sounds boring, this is from an Antonio Losado, and it's about Newcastle's PSR situation revealed before the 26th transfer window. And obviously, when I saw the headlines, and then I saw the Athletics' Chris Woff, I wanted to understand it. And listen, like I said, we all know that PSR is going and it's going to be SCR coming in. But at this present moment in time, we are still under the PSR guidelines. So obviously, that's where this is going to be an interesting one, because there's still lots of people out there that still don't think we've got the 125 from Alexander Isak to play with. Some people still do think we've got that. So that's where I am at the moment, because like I say, for me, January and being compliant is a massive step forward for Newcastle to either push for silverware and all the things that go with it, if they can bring in the right players. So let's have a look at what this states. PSR will not be significant inhibitor on Newcastle's business, Woff wrote, adding that no sales will be required in January for compliance, and none are expected to be essential next summer. The decisive factor was the British record of 125 million sale of Alexander Isak to Liverpool, which War says had a transformative effect on the club's PSR calculations. While Newcastle continued to feel the footballing consequences of losing their leading scorer, the deal substantially improves the financial headroom. Still, there are limits, Woff notes, and the wage spending remains a bottleneck, with Newcastle maintaining a disciplinary salary structure still significantly lower than the so-called Big Six. Even so, Woff stated, have the capacity to invest during both 26 windows, including 1 or 2 potential additions in January. Strategic outgoings could still occur, but Woff stresses that Newcastle will not need to sell a key player against their will, nor repeat the 24 situation when we were forced to offload academy product Anderson and Minte. Newcastle spent an initial 241 million on permanent signings last summer, and well reports and upwards of 100 million may be spent in the upcoming off-season as the squad continues to evolve. Now that's interesting for me, like I say, because I still hoped that there was some coffers, but again, it's not. And I don't know whether this is legit, if I'm honest with you, because I mean, anybody can throw anything out there in the press, you know that. So until I hear it from the club or start seeing players come in without players leaving that we don't want to leave, like I say, I'm still sure that the likes of Willock will see another shirt before the end of this season. So what's your thoughts on another 100 mil to be spent? I know you're not really 100% happy with the thought that Eddie Howe could do with another 100 million, but do you put the trust more in Wilson now Wilson's on board rather than the issue that we had in the summer?
I think that's what it needs to be, Gary. When you bring in like somebody like Wilson, you need to have a football strategy for the club. So yeah, Eddie's a good coach. I've never denied that fact. But in regards to this, he shouldn't be solely picking players now. Wilson has to have probably the major say in it. And in regards to that, you build a structure for a club with players. You don't just bring players in that a coach wants as such. I know that
Yeah.
sounds a little bit counterproductive, but it's not. That's the way top teams do it. Is then if you do move, we need, as I say, a football and strategy. So if you do move on, you're not bringing a coach in who's going to have a load of players who don't fit into the same style. And if we do go down the route, say, and Wynn's quite right on this, you can go down the route of like a Man United or a Tottenham, where you do sack the coach and then you bring in another coach. And what you don't want to have is a mismatch and a hodgepodge of players that don't.
Which is what we've
teach,
seen in other clubs, haven't we?
which is what you've seen in other clubs. So
Yeah.
there is that to think of, and that's why, as I say, you've got to have Wilson taking now control of the football strategy for the club, and we're having a style and a way of play that we want to do.
Yeah, I agree with you, mate. And that's what was interesting when I heard Wilson's conversation about Eddie Howe. And we're going to come on to what he said in an interview with The Athletic. There was an interesting take on Mr. Wilson. And I think that was the game before the Man City game when we won 2-1. So I've got something on that. But I think, with Wilson, what he said about it's not Eddie dictating players or names in a book. It's looking at Eddie's mentality, his approach to the game, his approach to coaching, the players that he's already got, the style that Eddie plays. And for me, there's also question marks on what he's questioning there, because we're on, coming to the middle of December. With January just around the corner. And there's no names been put in the book, even though we've seen a lot of links to midfielders as we speak. Very young players as well. And that's something else that I want to come to Eddie's presser with in a minute, mate, to be fair. We look at it and you start drafting all these different things in your head and you're looking at different players. So if he's looking at Eddie Howe's tactic, his formation, his different style of an approach now, and if Eddie Howe's not having an input on players' names, does Eddie Howe know what style he's doing? Because we're not the intensity anymore.
No. I think Eddie has to have a say on names. Don't get us wrong. I'm not saying completely take Eddie Howe out the transfer process whatsoever. But what I'm saying is there should be a strategy higher up than Eddie Howe in regards to when we're trying to sign players. The age and the profile of player that we want to sign should be a Newcastle United player, not an Eddie Howe player. If that makes sense. So it should be how we want the team to work. And I think the other thing is as well what we need to do as well. And I know this sounds counterproductive, but we need to maybe sign players who don't fit the profile of an Eddie Howe player. So this whole profile of being, quite a settled, calm head, come in. He likes them to be sort of family type of people or people who've got a certain type of personality. I think sometimes having a little bit of a maverick in the team or a wild player who not wild, but sort of a
wild card, a free player,
a wild card, somebody who doesn't conform to the norm. I suppose is the poetic way to put it, and just have that sort of that option in the squad. And yes, they might ruffle feathers. Yes, probably they'll get on Eddie's nerves, and he'll probably want rid of them within a few weeks. But having that sort of wild card player, as you say, in the squad, just offers you something different. That I think that's a little bit what we miss at the minute. There's not anybody who you would say is that sort of personality in our squad.
Yeah, I think the one thing, as I said, you guys were at the game against Burnley. The one thing that was missing for me massively was somebody to get stuck in. Somebody to get the bums off the seats in the audience and start them going. Because like I say, it was pretty stale. It was. I want to say stale. It was sterile. That's the word I'm looking for. There was no gambles. It was like I say, for me, it was too prim and proper. There was nothing enough roughness in there. I forgot it was your birthday, mate. Happy birthday. Irish,
Thank you
just
very
reminding me.
much.
Pleasure, buddy. 21 again. You don't
am.
look a day after 19. I mean, like I say, it is an interesting one. You've starred a couple. We'll crack on with them stars before we move on to the others.
No problem. Give us a second. Should have took the old stars off, shouldn't I?
That's okay. You can do it. You can. Like I say, he's taken on board the mighty Winds role tonight. So he's become the producer.
I'm struggling. That's why I don't agree with Wade about Champions League being more important. Question: if we got to the Champions League semi but only finished sixth, do you think the players may still want to leave? Fair point. Fair point. Do you guys think the players would still want to leave? I think if we don't get Champions League, there are players in our squad who are elite now that will want to leave. They'll want to play at the top level.
Yeah, but I know this sounds really crazy, but you saw the bounce that we got from just the Carabao Cup, just silverware, right? I mean, I'm talking from the fans aspect as well as the players. It was for some players it was the first time that they'd ever got silverware, and that's the problem, isn't it? And that's why I've had a little bit of flack from certain individuals in the chats post game in the comments about, do you not think Tino will ever get into Man City's team? And I says that's not what I said. What I'm saying is there's more competition wherever you go higher up that league. So what you have to ask yourself is, do I want silverware? Because that's what you're going to be more or less guaranteeing yourself with less minutes on the playing field, unless you are an elite player. And I don't think Tino's there yet. And that's what I'm saying. Pep Guardiola, he don't suffer fools. You've got to go in there. And we saw what he did with Joe Hart, remember, when he wanted to play from the back with a keeper that can use his feet. Joe Hart had an amazing season and he was gone. So he doesn't suffer fools. And that's what I'm saying. Wherever you go, looking for Champions League, looking for silverware, if you go to a wrong team, your chances could be scuppered if you want to play football. Some people just want to go for the money and silverware. Fantastic, But if you want to get an international career, if you want to get, your name potentially up in highlights and further afield, the Real Madrids and the Barças, you've got to be playing on a regular basis. So there's a lot of pressure comes with movement. It's not all plain sailing, and the lads have to perform to the levels that they're at, and raise the bar even further. And I says, and that to me is where Eddie Howe is at the moment. I think he's got a set of players. I think some have reached their ceiling, and I still think some are probably overperforming to that ceiling. And that's why you get the likes of Jacob Murphy, bless him. Even though on the metrics, he's still high up the table. But he's such a yo-yo player. You just never know what Jacob Murphy's going to get, what's going to come with. And to a degree, that's Elanga as well now, because Elanga's still obviously trying to find his feet. And obviously, I didn't realise Elanga has just become a father for the first time. Maybe that's another reason. Again, we forget we are human, emotional wrecks at the times when, listen, when I worked in anaesthetics for years and I worked in the maternity unit, I used to have to look after fathers a lot more than the women that would have the kids most of the time. So it was, there's a chair, lad, sit yourself down.
Yeah.
Get your feet up when the colour just drains out of them, It's like, go on then.
Go on then. Gary, do you mean a Brighton style where the club bring in young
talent?
Young talent for this.
Yeah.
Their style at the... Oh, sorry, lost it. But only if you get six. Do you think...
that's a different question. That's a different one.
Yeah. That's that one. Their style, to drive the club forward, they have the same model with three managers. So that's basically what I think we were seeing.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're saying. I think what you've got to understand is Brighton, under their current ownership, have a very keen eye on the pulse and a finger definitely keeping a trigger on where they are. And if they see a weakness or they've heard a whisper, and like I say, these whispers aren't, for everybody's ears. A lot of the clubs beforehand will have already known who their next manager to approach is. That suits the style of football that they are already achieving. So what you get is a transition through without, like Boki said before, where you've had the likes of the Man U's, the Tottenhams, managers that come and go, coaches that just come and go. And they have now financial clout to change things. And when they're trying to move players in and spend a bit of money, the players that they're bringing in to their style just don't marry the players that are already at the club. So you've got a bit of a mismatch of different tactics. And that's exactly what Brighton have got bang on. And financially, you think of the money that they've made from bringing these young lads in. And also, again, you talk about recruitment. Look at Minte. Who was the one over in Feyenoord watching Minte? It wasn't obviously any of Eddie Howe's team. You know what I mean? But they looked at Minte and thought, I've got a position available. I'm going to utilise, if we can get him on the cheap, and for 30 odd million for what he has done now. Would you? I mean, we've paid 55 for somebody that doesn't look like he could trap win. Never mind a ball, and yet they picked up Brighton picked up a quality young lad that was coming to Newcastle and seems to have made a massive improvement to their side.
I mean, you always had issues with Elanga. Well, not issues, but you raised concerns when we signed Elanga, didn't you? You raised those concerns. And Ramsey, again, I really, really don't understand why we spent that money on that player to be. And I know there was different opinions on this, but I don't understand why we spent all that money on the player who was coming to be a bench player. As I've said throughout, we should have spent a little bit more money and got somebody in who was a replacement for J7, because people go, oh, but you need to improve the bench. What people don't understand is if you buy a player in to replace a player in the team, naturally you improve the bench because the first team player drops onto the bench.
You do, but I have to counteract the argument now, because you also get the Shaw effect.
Yeah.
Yeah?
It upsets them, yeah.
And then all of a sudden, what you get then is a domino effect, because if Shaw's mates with somebody else, and we've seen this with the Isak, and we mentioned Elanga, as Isak leaving upset the balance with Elanga being his Swedish teammate, things like that. We don't know. I mean, it's all hypothetical. And like I say, we don't know if his partner, his wife, or whoever it was, wasn't having a bad time through a final stages of pregnancy. All of these things, they're an emotional turmoil on anybody, never mind, somebody who's there to play professional football. So I think what we have to do with Elanga is give him a little bit of slack now. The baby's been delivered. It seems very healthy, and I wish him absolutely all the best in fatherhood. And like I say, I hope now that that's behind him. And I must admit, even though I don't think he was the world's best, I don't think he was the worst player against Burnley. He did try and run in behind, which is what we hadn't seen for a very long time from a lot of our players. And he did try to do something different. And like I say, on another day, he would have got more than just the one assist. So I think, like I say, there's a lot going on there. But for me, I do absolutely agree with it. I think that we have to start being a bit more manager-like when it comes to PSR, finances and everything else. I think what Newcastle need to do is look down the road rather than what we've got here and now. And they have to plan, because if they can't do that, and like I said, I think Ross Wilson already bringing in this new guy to do the South Americas, even though for me he'd probably be better suited in the German Bundesliga league, because that seems to be his background. But again, you've got somebody like Foxy who said, the lad hasn't brought a lot of talent in. So it's a gamble. Whichever way you go, this is a gamble, and bless him, Irish has already corrected me. Tony Bloom, thanks, mate, with that one. Tony Bloom obviously has got his section of pundits and analysts out there with a finger on the pulse in that market. So like I say, you're already up against a tried and tested system, and we're going out there with literally just a pen and paper and eyesight. And it's very difficult to get the player to suit. Now, by all accounts, it looks like this Allen is a done deal from Palmeiras. And like I say, they've thrown some worldies out in recent years. So for me, I'm liking the look of this Elias Allen, and I think, like I say, a Brazilian called Allen. I mean, you couldn't write it on a corn packet, could you? It's crazy. Any more in the chat, mate, before we crack on?
Yeah, there's a couple of questions. There's a question for you, Gary. What do you think of the young talent Swiss player Hugh Janus we have been linked with? Or Janus, is it pronounced?
No, you were right the first time. Huge anus. Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. I'll have to learn. I think Tony's saying I think Tonali, Tino, and Gordon may try to engineer moves away if we don't get Champions League next year, and Burnwith get offer from the top teams in Europe. I suppose so, potentially.
I think that is, that's what I said. None of us have got a crystal ball. None of us know how happy any of these guys are under Eddie Howe. I mean, they could all be skipping around the dressing rooms regardless of the scoreline. They all might be besties, and I think that is the problem. Is Eddie Howe too close to them? Does he not want to go in there and wield that sword to certain individuals? I don't know. I just think sometimes, you've just got to look at it for what it is. And hopefully, with the right bodies coming on board now, and like I say, having these so-called better scouts in the certain areas that plug in certain things, you might get a better outcome going forward.
It wasn't long ago when people, it wasn't long ago when people were saying we had the best midfield in the Premier League. J7 was one of them, yet now they're talking about replacements. But that's always got to be the case. You've got to carry on replacing players and improving the squad. So, and don't forget the players get older. That's part of life. That's just generally part of life.
Yeah, it is. And listen, we've got to stop doing this lad a disservice, because again, you look at his metrics, and again, you can say, is this because we've had a poor season? Because his metrics are still up there with, types of play that Newcastle are doing. Some of his progressive passes are good. Some of his defensive work has been really good. The one thing that lets him down a lot of the time is the fact that he holds onto the ball. He becomes that in-between man, do a pass, do a try and dribble. And he hasn't got that ability. He's not, because of his style, because of his stature, his gait makes him quite awkward. So, he's not Voltemada on the ball. So he needs to develop a game, even though he's Brazilian. And I think people think, I'm Brazilian and I should be an absolutely worldie and tiki-taka. So if that's not your style of play, then that's not your style of play. Play to your strengths. And I think sometimes, like I say, I call him the in-betweener, because he's no more a defender than he's a midfielder. You know what I mean? And he's stuck between the void. He's certainly not an attacker, but he can progress the ball really well because he's strong. So I don't want to do the kid an injustice, but you're absolutely right. We've got to stop becoming a club that give players away because they become too old. He's only just signed a new contract. We know that. So what we have to start looking at is, if he doesn't fit the Eddie way, and if we can get some financials back, I mean, £40 million when he come, he owes us nothing now. You know what I mean? It's all done. So apart from that new contract that come on board, so you've got to start looking at it for what it is. Stop giving players away and try and get the best out of them. And if they don't suit the system, loyalty has to go. You can't be loyal in this game and be successful.
Yeah, 100%. And to be fair to J7, I don't have a problem with him playing certain games. I think he is. I said this afternoon, I think he should play in the Sunderland game, because he's a player that you want. And if you were picking a five-a-side team, he'd probably be one of the first players you would pick, because he's just that type of guy.
Yeah, he's an imposing stature. He is.
But when you're in a Premier League season and you've got Premier League class players, and obviously they were talking about that midfield, the one player in that midfield that you would say that is not a weak link, but was the weakest part of the midfield was J7. And as I say, what we should have done was look to replace that role, or at least bring in a player that could replace that role. And the more I see of Ramsey, the less I see if somebody who's going to do that. He does just seem to be a player who's going to be a bench player.
Yeah, I mean, while we're talking about, like, obviously Newcastle and January, before we move on, and like I say, keep it coming in the chat, guys, because like I say, that's literally keeps us going and bouncing off things. But I did see a good snippet about, obviously, Alan Elias. I called him Elias Allen, I think. It was Alan Elias, isn't it? About Newcastle preparing this 30 million euro bid, even though he's got a release clause of 87 million euros, I think it is. Palmeiras are so desperate to move players on when there's obviously people or teams out there. And again, this is a new report from Brazil claiming Palmeiras have set their initial valuation for the midfielder around 30 million euros. The figure gives the Magpies a concrete target as they prepare their next move. So again, this is something, like I say, it's not being hidden. It's there, but there's also a lot of other teams interested in this one. The information comes from Nossal Palestra, who states the Palmeiras' plan is to sell Allen during the current window as part of an aggressive budget strategy for 26. Club officials consider him their main financial asset and expect him to generate a significant portion of the 70 million they aim to raise for new transfers next year. They see his age, his versatility, his recent rise under Adel Ferreira as reasons to push for a strong fee. Palmeiras have not received an official bid yet, but they believe Allen's market value has grown after his performance in 25. English clubs continue to make inquiries, and Newcastle appear among the sides most attentive to the situation. Early reports already reveal that the Premier League team wanted an immediate agreement and were preparing a formal offer. So there you go. That's the little bit on Allen. And like I say, I changed his name round, which I'm sure everybody does. But like I say, he's certainly an interesting player. And again, we talk about the midfield. Eddie must have a plan. Somebody must be. And again, will it go into Crystal Palace? Is it Miley going out? Because again, there's a talk out there that Miley's inquired about game time, and as much, he wants to play more. He thinks he can give more. And are we going to get another Elliot Anderson situation? Because that's what worries me. It's okay having these lads coming up through the academy, but what is the point in having an academy if you're not going to utilise them, or you're not going to get the money that they're worth?
It's a double-sided coin for me, that one, Gary, because with Mailey Anderson, I'd like to see the lad progress, and it's again whether he will at this club under Eddie Howe. Will Eddie give him the chance? Will Eddie play him? And will his career progress? Because if not, I don't blame the lad for wanting to move on. If football's a short career, so if he's not going to get the chances here, then I would say the best thing for him is to move on. I don't think it's the best thing for the club, but it's a strange one because Eddie is so reluctant to push you forward and give them a proper chance. You do kind of feel for them, and there's nobody. It's strange because normally if a player leaves, there's like a little bit of ill feeling towards them. But I don't think with Miley or Anderson there would be any if they have to go to progress their careers.
No,
I know Anderson was a slightly different kettle of fish, but when you see how that lad's done at Nottingham Forest since going there, he would never ever have got to the stage he's at now at Newcastle. I think everybody would agree with that.
Yeah. Like I say, I just find it. I mean, I saw something in Anderson, and you got shot down saying he was too weak and everything else. And like you say, given the time, given that support, and I think Eddie Howe had that window of opportunity in the first 3 or 4 seasons that he was here, where you could have given him, rather than mould the likes of J7. And like I say, I'm not knocking J7, but you had an ideal situation with him playing that left side of the three. He just never given the opportunity. Because I mean, don't get me wrong, that's how J7 was. I mean, J7 took the bit like the horse did and run with it, didn't he? and he never gave it up.
But
So
let's face it, people like you that obviously look at younger players and have a good understanding of younger players, we're seeing that type of thing. But as the average Joe fan, like me, I was thinking, oh, this midfield is class, sort of. You don't want to be popping Anderson into it all the time because he's just going to upset the balance. So if you're looking through a coach's eyes, I think you have to give them a chance. I think sometimes as fans, as I say, and I've said before, we're fickle. We're a fickle lot, and we just want the here and now. Whereas I think a coach has to be planning for the future.
interesting one. Then we're talking about Elliot Anderson and we're talking about Elanga. If the offer come now, would you swap them back?
100%. I mean, it's not even a question, that one, Gary.
Well, it is. All you've got to say is yes or no.
I'd go and pick Elanga up now and drive him down. Bring Elliot Anderson back up with us.
Yeah, I'll put the child seat in the back. Don't worry, son. Oh, bless you. Yeah, I didn't think there was going to. You didn't even hesitate on that one either.
Do you think that, Gary, as well? Would you swap him back?
I mean, like I say, I would never have sold the kid. And like I say, this is the current situation we're in, and that's why everybody was so passionate about what Amanda Staveley gave us, because she gave us that light at the end of the tunnel, and because we've been starved for so long of anything, it wasn't the fact that you're starved of ownership; it was starved of money, finances, because everything went into his pocket, and even on transfers. There was never. It was always to balance the books. You know what I mean? It was never going to be. I'm going to just put money into the club. It was like, well, if I buy him and I sell him, I'm breaking even here. So that's literally where it was, one in, one out, virtually all the time, wasn't it? So, like I say, poor management, poor ownership. I mean, you're never going to win anything with that, mate. And I think what hurts me more than anything else is this had been going on since 2017. This could have been. Our coming up to our 10-year anniversary, you know what I mean, type of situation, rather than, just where we are now. So we could have already been that elite club, and that's what really hurts. But listen, we've done it, and like I say, whether she did it right or wrong, we were in a situation. But I'll tell you something now. If Eddie Howe, again, that's a difficult one to say. Would Eddie Howe have taken the points deduction? Because they said it was a guaranteed 6-pointer. It would have definitely took him out of the Champions League. Would he have lost players just to keep Elliot Anderson?
Potentially.
That's the thing, isn't it?
Question. Yeah. It's all if what's and maybes, isn't it? But
yeah.
I think one thing that maybe does blow the myth a little bit is, and everybody says if Eddie Howe's got a player, he can develop them. It seems to be selected players that he can develop.
Well, that's the other thing. Yeah. There's some players that are sponges, right?
Yeah.
And there's some players that are not so spongy. So, and again, this is why I think, are we losing instructions in translation when it comes to Gaffer's instructions to players, and a couple of players look a little bit lost when they're trying to obviously show this tact that Eddie Howe is obviously instructed. So, again, you look at certain individuals, and that's why I say, and I think, bless him, Chris took it wrong when I said Tonali's not a leader, because Tonali, when you're giving an instruction to somebody, do you just play that instruction, and when you're chasing and when you want to go and get something, sometimes you have to bend the instruction to suit the scenario. Now, obviously at the time, I didn't know Tonali had took a knock either.
Yeah.
So that could have hampered him, you know what I mean?
I would basically say, that some players are bright. So some players, Eddie Howe wants to bring in are the ones who, can understand instructions and understand what he's saying. And there's other players that maybe is intellectual football-wise. So
no, it's not even that,
the instructions on. Is it not even that?
No, it's taking the letter of the law. So if I say to you, I want you to jump on one leg and bark like a dog, and then you think, well, okay, I can't put my other foot down for balance at times. You got me? You'll just stand there hopping on one and barking like a dog, even though I expect you to interchange each leg, but continue barking for me. Some players, when you tell them an instruction, they don't deviate. It is that it's black and white. It's down the line, right? And the trouble is then it's like, because as you said, what we probably need in this side is somebody who's got that little bit of freedom, a bit of flair, somebody who's willing to bend that rule, somebody who's going to break a line even though he's been told to defend. You know what I mean? And just be that edgy type of player. And like I say, I think we've got probably too many players that are on the straight and narrow rather than the bendy. And like I say, if you look at Bruno plays with a little bit more freedom than Tonali. You know, when Tonali plays in the 6, he very rarely gets into the final third areas. When Bruno gets there, he's in the box nearly all the time. Do you know what I mean? So there's totally different players playing the same position, but actually play the system a little bit different to each other. So that's what I was trying to say. You know, and his metrics said exactly that. You know, when you go back and watch the game again, because again, that's what I like to do. Then I look at his metrics and I go, yeah, there you go. You stop on the 3/4 line and you never go any further forward. You know what I mean? So you don't press the box, and that's where you're dangerous. Because you know, out of all our players, if like we all know, he's a good striker of a ball, and we just don't see it often enough. And that for me is what I meant. I didn't mean that he wasn't a good player, because we all know he is. What else would I see on here? Is there anybody in the chat that we need to highlight, mate, before I move on to this one? Because this is going to blow my frock up. Go on, mate.
From Naive American, playing 3 times a week will make all players look average. I don't know the Premier League players. They shouldn't look average. They should be able to do that.
So what happened in the days? Players were still in Europe, still in all the club competition, League Cup, FA Cup, and I only had 2 or 3 subs. I mean, the last time we played Bayer Leverkusen in 2003, we only had 2 subs on the bench. So what happened back then?
I don't get that as an argument.
And I'm not being funny. We played in worse surfaces than we do today on these carpets. They were played in mud up to their ankles back then. Do you know what I mean? So that's what annoys me when we're saying, you know, we must rotate, we must do this. You've got to have continuity. Bring one player out, bring a player in if you need to. If the metrics are showing that he's slow, you know, he's slacking off a little bit. But once you start making integral changes, 5, 6, 7 players, you lose your shape, you lose your momentum, you lose the mentality. You'll get a bounce because players want that shirt back. And we saw that against Tottenham. But what happened the game after? All of them were changed. So the mentality in the next game, when you look at a bounce, which is Burnley, you didn't get a reaction from, because mentally they're saying, it doesn't matter how I perform, I'm on the bench.
But it's part of that as well, Gary, that sometimes if you're going to make changes for games, choose a game, make the changes, and then, unless somebody has a stellar performance, move back to what you were. So make a lot of changes for one game, rather than this what we're doing now, which is a few players in, a few players out there, and nobody knows who they're going to be playing with each week. That's the other point. Last one, people are saying it's nothing to do with Eddie, that Anderson left. I disagree. They must have asked him, who are you prepared to lose? And Anderson was low down in the hierarchy.
Yeah, he was.
I agree, Gavin. It has to have been Eddie. Eddie had to have a state saying it at some point.
Becca.
Probably
Becca. Oh, Becca. He went to the dark side. Wow.
Can we ban Becca from the chat?
No, it wasn't Becca. Right. Anything else, mate? Are we good?
Nope, that's it from me, mate.
Fabulous. Right then. So, really interesting report that I read this morning. Now, we all know that there's been some conversation regarding Tino Livramento and his potential blockbusting move to Man City if Pep Guardiola decides to come our way. We also heard that Tino's completely looking elsewhere and leaving it all up to his father, his agent. But there's been a conversation that's been made by somebody at the Etihad and the chat. And again, don't shoot the messenger because I'm only putting it out there. They're going to ask for a swap deal. Trafford and cash for Tino. And I wanted to know what your thoughts were.
We need to keep hold of Tino. Tino 100%. For me, it's a lot easier getting a keeper in than it is getting a modern day fullback, and especially a modern day fullback as good as how good Tino is. You've got to remember he can cover both wings. He doesn't look out of place when he does it. He probably is the modern day replacement of who he's replaced in the team trips. He is the modern day Trippier. He's everything to, and I think it proved at the start of the season when we didn't have him in Hall how much those players mean to her. And let's face it, I don't know what Eddie's massive issue, massive thing is. We're getting English keepers in. Go out and buy a keeper from a foreign league, but keepers are, I don't want to say 10 a penny, but keepers are a lot easier to get than a fullback like Tino. So
Yeah,
maybe
they are, mate. But,
you know,
we were all screaming and shouting for Mamadashvili, right? Now, have you seen anything from that lad that really blows your frock up? Because I haven't.
no.
So, even though he was on the lips of everybody, wasn't he? Oh, let's go and get him. Let's go and get him. And yet I haven't seen anything at all that makes me think that he was a great keeper. I'm not saying he's not a bad keeper. He's just not one of those all singing, all dancing type keepers that, he's going to be the big shot stopper that everybody claimed that he was. I haven't seen that.
To be fair, I think you've got to separate these two issues in regards to, do we need a new keeper? Yes. Is Ramsdale proving himself to be that keeper at the minute? I would say the jury's still out. Probably over the last few performances, he hasn't covered himself in glory completely. But
Yeah.
the Tino one's a different kettle of fish. As I say, that lad, if we keep him in Hall for the next 5, 6, 7 seasons, you've got Chow and potentially Botman in the centre. That's one hell of a defence. And if we can get a few younger players in who are the backup to them, or even better, if we can get players in who replace one of them. So if Botman doesn't prove to be the player that we think he can be because of injuries, we'll get someone in to replace him. That's a hell of a defence for the next few years. And
Yeah, it is. But for me, the big thing is, I know it's like cashing a goalkeeper, and for whatever reason, and I do not know, for the love of God, what he sees in Trafford. But there seems to be an element that Trafford's the boy. That's the man that he wants between the sticks, and I don't know why. I can't answer that. But to lose somebody like Tino, who still has his faults, I'm not saying he's elite yet, but somebody who fills the void left and right sided, it gives you that 15-meter advantage. He runs the inside right position perfectly well. Can play in the 6 if you need him to. Again, not the world's best, but can utilise that position if we go forward on the left-hand side. Can overload on the right-hand side if you want to put bodies forward. So, you've got to break the bank for this kid. And if they do want to offload Trafford, then you get him on the cheap anyway. I certainly wouldn't consider throwing a Trafford deal plus £30 million, say. You got me? Because that, to me, is just a waste of a talent for me. We're going back into the Elliot Anderson situation for me by doing that.
I mean, Tino, you've got to say he's probably an £80 million player.
Well, that's. I mean, according to this,
£80 million, yeah.
Yeah, according to what has been sent, Manchester City are front runners in the battle with Pep, still overly reliant on Matheus Nunes, who's a midfielder by trade, playing an adapted role to right back. And again, he has been unconvincingly in that part. But again, he's a midfielder adopting a right back role, and it's very similar to the way Chelsea was playing with Caicedo at right back when Reece James was injured. What they do then is utilise that right back situation and drop him into the 6, which is where he plays his best football. So there's ways around it, and again, you have to adopt a way and a style of playing for even something like that to work. You know what I mean? Because it's not a natural gimme to every team. And Eddie Howe has tried that, especially when you've had the Lewis Halls and the Anthony Gordons on the left-hand side, and we've had Trippier in the side. What Trippier does is slot into that 6 role quite nicely, and he does it in a way that actually doesn't unbalance the side. And yet with Tino, because Tino's, again, one of these players that not 100% sure what his role is. He doesn't want to go too far forward, doesn't want to sit too far back, doesn't want to sit too far wide. You know what I mean? He's an in-betweener at this present moment in time. He needs guidance to be that runner. And, you know, he's got perfect players around him in Trippier while he's still at the club. And that's what I said. These boys have got to start looking at the players around them to mould them into a better player and utilise it, you know, and use them while they've got them. Unfortunately, Hall is on his own. You know, it's a crying shame to think that Lewis Hall hasn't got one of these bods around him, the likes of Trippier on that left-hand side, that can give him a hand. He's literally learning in the game. You know what I mean? And that's why sometimes I think Lewis Hall, for me, has come on absolutely leaps and bounds because he hasn't got this shining star above him. He's got to work the channels. He's got to run the line. He's got to work the defence the way he has been shown on the training field. So it's something that, you know, when you've got somebody to bounce off, and you can't always bounce off the likes of Dan Burn because, again, he's a bit part player as that left back. But he's certainly something to go forward. Now, according to this, like I say, going on to Tino and continuing, the report suggests City are ready to bid upwards of 65 for Livo. With add-ons or potentially a player like James Trafford. Now, again, they've mentioned James Trafford. I haven't, right? That's what I'm saying. This isn't something that I've thrown into the hat. All I'm saying is they will use this because they know it's what Eddie Howe has wanted for a long time. Thrown in and into the bargain who Newcastle are keen to sign in the summer. That being said, the Magpies are insistent. Now, this is, again, I don't know how true this is, that the player isn't for sale. They said the same against Isaac. Instead, wanting to hand Livramento a new contract and quash talk of a 70 to 80 million pound release clause. And so, again, has that been asked of by his dad, his agent, regarding his contract? Are they looking to get a smaller release clause added in rather than making like an uncomfortable future? Because, again, you know, we don't want to be in the Alexander Isak flashback scenario come the summer, do we?
But Gary, with this as well, with the Tino situation, what we have to remember as well is if you look at our backup defenders, we'll go from one extreme to the other. So young defenders are young, but we're backup defend. If you want to say the younguns, so the young ones are now the future. So you've got Tino, Bame, Chow, Botman, and Hall. But then you go to the rest of them, and they're all mid-30s. So
Yeah.
no matter what we're doing, we're going to have to be replacing a hell of a lot of defenders over the next 2 transfer windows, probably.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you start selling the younger ones, then you're just giving yourself a bigger rebuild job to do with the back.
Yeah, I mean, you can see how this lad's doing, you know, because you've got to start looking at, you know, Chelsea now are starting to look at him, right? Because he fits Enzo Maresca's high line, defensive line, because he's got the recovery pace. So what you've got now is the likes of Chelsea, Man U, Ruben Amorim. You know, you think of the way he plays now with this 3-4-3 system or 3-4-2-1 system. Ruben Amorim has been a massive admirer of him because he knows he could play that role really well under the right guidance. So, you know, the likes of Mazraoui and Dalot aren't doing it what he wants. But there's also interest out there from Atletico Madrid, apparently. And there's been, again, Atletico Madrid have got the likes of Conor Gallagher. That has been an interest of Newcastle's. Is there some movement there? You know what I mean? So there's a lot of teams that are keeping an eye on Tino. And we're just going to see how this runs, because I don't think it'll be a January thing unless Man City do come in with an absolutely stupid offer that Newcastle just can't turn down. Because that's what that's the club that we have to become. The same as the Brightons. When the offer comes in, and again, this is why I said you've got to have the right structure on board to move this model forward. when the offer comes in, and it's got to be a mouth-watering offer, you move the player on, but you've got to have a player that's going to slot straight back in. Because if you haven't got that in essence, then you're just going to fall away. And that's what we're seeing a lot of clubs do.
But Gary, is this part of Wilson's job now as well? I don't think it's fair putting the pressure on Eddie Howe over this as well. Is this Wilson's job now that Wilson has to be the one that's dealing with these type of situations, and he has to be the one looking at new contracts and deciding what we can pay people, and then it goes up to Hodgins in regards to, if we can get a stadium sponsor or a sponsor for the training ground or the training shirts, do we say, look, we're going to do that, and be open and honest with the fans, saying, look, we're going to change the name of St James's Park, but that money goes on giving these top class players new contracts, so we can keep our top players, so we can pay them the wage that we'll get out of their clubs, and we can then compete with bigger clubs in regards to payment there, to obviously wages for the players.
Like I said, there's so many ways you can look at this, isn't there? You know what I mean? You've got to start seeing it for what it is. But like I say, we have to start bridging the gap, and to the detriment of our superstars that have been brought in. Until we can bridge that gap, we are always going to be, unfortunately, the cream is going to be picked from those teams that are applying for silverware. Our top four teams are Champions League quarter finalists and on. The Man Cities, the Liverpools and stuff. I mean, I'm not saying Liverpool are doing great this year, but you know what I mean? These are the teams that will always come in and turn your head. We've seen it with Anthony Gordon. We've seen it with Isaac. It's sometimes very difficult when you're in that limelight not to have your head turned. And like I say, fair play to Tino, because like I say, apart from his 15 minutes against Burnley where he couldn't do a thing right, he looked all right afterwards. He did some good work. But let's talk. While we're talking about these youngsters, because that fills me straight into the next bit. And like I say, I've got to watch the time because I do want to jump on board to the Leverkusen. Even though I would imagine Chris and the lads in the late team will talk a lot about tomorrow night's game. Under Eddie Howe's admission now about game management, like I said, I was a little bit. It is getting for me crazy, these presses, because like I say, it's no longer a football content presser. It's hairstyles. It's like there's some absolutely they're just not questions. And it was the same again today. And again, when the Germans come. Oh, excuse me. When the German come in and it was like, in German, the levels go down. Why wasn't there an interpreter there for the English viewers? Because at the end of the day, that's what you'd expect, isn't there? For that conversation to be interpreted.
I was thinking that the day, did they not used to have where the manager and things had earpieces in?
Yeah.
That they could pick up on what was being said.
Yeah, that's exactly what they did. And Eddie Howe has utilised that in presses previously, where where there's somebody in the audience, one of the journos that's non-English. He puts the earpiece in when it gets translated through the earpiece to him. But again, listen, I understand within Germany it is going to be a lot of German conversation, and that's when you look at Voltemada as well, he's German. You'd expect mother tongue to be there. It's just a shame, like I say, they didn't think of the wider audience. And like I say, he did spoil it for me a little bit, if I'm honest with you, because like I say, you hadn't got a clue what was being said. And bless her, I think it was Queenie who was doing some interpretation in the chat, which was great because, like I say, I did pick up on a couple of the things. Or she was throwing me a curveball, and it was just, absolutely nothing like it was being said. You'll have to tell me the truth, Queenie. So by Eddie Howe's admission, and this is why I want to get on to while we're talking about Tino and the younguns, the Magpies are looking stronger by the game in some areas, but Eddie Howe has answered questions on poor game management after recent lapses of concentration. Newcastle United boss Howe admitted that his side are currently lacking a bit of experience after recent collapses in the Premier League. The Magpies threw away a lead in stoppage time against Tottenham last week, and Howe ended the game with his head in his hands after Burnley were a mere header away from emulating the London side at the death on Saturday. In the end, Newcastle hung on to a slender 2-1 lead against Scott Parker's side. With Kieran Trippier, Nick Pope, Emil Kraft and Sven Botman all out, and Dan Burn and Joe Willock off the field, Howe feels that a lack of senior heads was the reasons why United struggled to cope on Saturday. I have to question this. I really do struggle to understand what he's trying to say here. And he goes on to say, our problem in recent weeks has been defending set plays. But I think the game management side is always linked to the experience of your team. And if you actually look at the team we had at the end there, it was quite young. It was quite youthful. So there's stuff for individuals in that team to learn from. And as that cross in stoppage time flashed a cross goal at the end against Burnley, Howe said, "You're watching it like everybody else is. I'm watching it like you and struggling to take it in. What I'd seen in the moment, actually. The referee blew the whistle straight after, so you instantly moving with what's happened. But that's why I'm very keen to watch it again and try to get messages that we need the players for the next occasion to that happens. You know, we react to the situation. I want to correct things and make them better." So let's just mark that point there, because he's saying, like, you know, we had players that it was a youthful looking team. Now, obviously, we'd got J7 on the team by that side. And I know Toon Army didn't come on until the final couple of minutes, so I'm going to completely take him out of the board. But didn't he make the changes? Who made the changes to make this a very youthful looking side? Do you know what I mean? If he wants to manage a game, I think this is being a hypocrite myself. It's like double standards. You know, you've got a back four, right, of Byrne, Shaw, Chow, and Tino, right? It's the same back four that you've had for a couple of seasons now. Am I wrong, right or wrong?
No, you're completely right.
So the experience got to be there now. You can't just keep blaming youth. Now, like I said, when you bring new players in, which again, you know, this is your choice. Nobody's forced your hand on this. Yes, you're going to get that negative bounce because style of play, style of individual performance and everything else. And especially if players know that they're not going to be the first choice, then they're probably not going to give you 100%. But I just find this, it's just a little bit hypocritical for me.
And who's the guy who coaches these players week in, week out? And as you say, most of them players that finished that game have been here for a good few seasons now. Why hasn't he taught them up how to kill a game or how to finish games off already? You know, as you say, sometimes some things he says he doesn't help himself. And
No.
it's not me trying to get at him, but it's sort of he needs to learn in-game management. And sometimes, like after the Burnley game, just say, look, we didn't play well at the end. Don't call out the players, just say we didn't play well at the end and we need to start learning how to manage this. But mentioning players' ages just gives people like me the opportunity to go down the route of, oh, well, he's saying that because he wants to get Burn in the team and he wants to keep Burn in the team because he wants to be able to say, oh, well, I need that experience. So, you know, I'm not going to say that in the day, but it is setting up for that exact sort of conversation of, well, all he wants to do is keep these tried and tested players in the team and, again, not give youth a chance.
Yeah, you're right, though. But it's like we keep saying, you know, we've heard the excuses of Dan Burn. I kept him in the side because of height. You know, so why should you be frightened of crosses? You know what I mean? You're keeping these players on because that's what they give you, that defensive conduct, if you like. So why are you all of a sudden like Dracula, frightened of blooming crosses all of a sudden? You know, to me, it's positional issues. Now, he goes on to say, I always think you absorb it, but you're trying to correct things all the time. And you're trying to do that with a good intention of trying to make the team perform better. So that's what I'll do. How he's seeing gradual improvement and believes that set plays with specialist coach Martin Mark overlooking that department these days is starting to make an impact. Howe said, we work on it all the time. We worked on it yesterday, but it's forever changing. The challenge is forever changing from set plays. Now, I don't understand that. That's why you bring like I said, we went into a different mentality over the last couple of games because now we're adopting this Arsenal effect, if you like, from corners, running from deep to the front stick, and it confuses defenders because they don't know whether to watch the ball. So you have to be open-bodied. So you're looking at peripheral vision. You know what I mean? You're keeping your eye on the ball here, but if a player comes into your peripheral vision here, you just block it. You just block the run. What Newcastle seem to be doing, and again, we're not moving with the players. I mean, we saw Romero for Tottenham diving header against Dan Burn, who's on his heels. He's expecting it in the air, not a little dilly ball at waist height. Do you know what I mean? So again, it's like being able to be in that position, low centre of gravity, getting yourself in the right position to attack the ball and in the moment, rather than just dallying a little toe out there, thinking I can get my toe on the end of this.
Just a couple of points where the corners and things that would be, firstly on an attacking corner. So when we have the corner, I like this running forward. It's a really good idea. But why not keep one player back at the back post in case the ball's slightly overhit, and then you've got the potential of them heading it back across, and you've got 4 or 5 players in front of them. And from defence, why do it? And Win is spot on with this. Why do we have every player back defending corners? Why don't we have a couple of players left up front who, if we get a break, they're on, but it also means that the opposing team can't have as many players in the attacking positions because they have to be defending them players as well.
Yeah. It really did get up my nose a little bit, that those comments, because you start looking at it's like excuses for me, giving goals away at the death. You're looking for excuses, and it's just, again, ball watching. 4 players go into a ball on the angle of the box. Why? 1, maybe 2, but not 4, leaving 3 guys at the back stick against Burnley. You know what I mean? To me, that isn't people that are not worthy of a shirt or not intelligent enough to understand football. But somebody has to. Again, it's about communication. Who's the gaffer on the field? Who's the leader on the field? Such and such. Get yourself on him. Such and such. Get yourself there. I've got 2 players at the back. And that's what I said. For me, the main man in them situations is your goalkeeper. Your goalkeeper sees the entire box. And it should be Ramsdale, now Pope isn't in the team, that's telling everybody. And if he can't get the information across, then he goes over to the skipper and he gives him a rollicket to say, I've been asking these guys to do the job and they're not doing it. I need cover here. Make an excuse to go down, do anything to stop play. You know what I mean? But the message has to be across the players. And to me, what I've seen so far is Newcastle just look all over the place. They don't look uniformed, especially at the death. And it's like becomes those little moments in time where you're nervous. That it's just like, my interview's in 5 minutes type of thing, and you get them butterflies in your tummy. You know what I mean? And it's like, control it. You're all professional footballers. This should be meat and drink. And when you're playing the team at the bottom 3, there are mentally deprived, confidence that they can't run, put a couple of balls together at most of the times. There's no attacking. We looked all over the place in the first 15 minutes. The amount of times we gave them the ball, the amount of corners we gave them. So why are we talking just in the death? Because if you're going to allow teams to get that much in the final third and put that many crosses in at you, I'm sorry, you're failing elsewhere, mate. It's not just the final, the final 5 minutes. You're allowing teams to put pressure on you and get into your mindset, not controlling the game yourselves. So for me, there was something that needs to be addressed massively for me. And like I say, I think they need to have a talk with the boss and the coaches around.
Gary, just while we're covering this point, can I ask you a quick question in regards to how we've been doing this season in regards to set pieces? It's obvious a lot of times being sent on set pieces, whether it's worked or not, it's obviously the discussion we've just had. But do you think that's been to the detriment of that play? Because we don't seem to be doing anything different in open play. So yes, we seem to have these new procedures, the new ideas in set pieces, but in open play it's gone stale. It doesn't seem we've got any ideas in that. I don't know if
Well,
you.
yeah, I mean, sometimes what you do get, you see, and you know, you're quite right when you were talking about the defensive attributes. You can upset the balance, if you like, if you throw somebody out there. And we all know the likes of Mo Salah for Liverpool usually sits on the the 3/4 stage on that right hand side as the out ball, and he never defends. He just sits out there because as a defensive coach, you have to deal with it. You have to set the team up to deal with that situation. And for me, Newcastle, I think more than the set piece coach, I think what's happening at the moment is you've got too many people within the same area, and I think everybody's getting in everybody's way. And I think that is sometimes, and I say that in the to try and be positive. Sometimes having too many defend that 6-yard line not only blindsides the keeper. I mean, you saw that shinny from Romero that went through half a dozen bodies, and he was so late in getting down to it, it was already past him on the right hand side. And again, you start asking, you've got to start questioning, how can somebody literally 10 yards out from that left-hand post have that much time when you're watching the ball come across? It's been fisted up in the air, but I mean, it seemed like an age, didn't it? The ball was up in the air. It was still coming down, and I'm thinking I was expecting snow on it. It was that long in the air. And yet nobody moved 3 or 4 yards from where they were originally standing. So, again, that's got nothing to do with the set piece coach because everybody's tasked to do a role within that box. I just think what it is at the moment, there's far too many bodies in that box. So maybe, what you've said, get players, outside the box. And I think Irish is agreeing with you from what I can see in the chat, 12-yard line, halfway in the halfway line to the left or to the right, whichever way you want to go, rather than going central. It gives you an out. And like I say, have a look at how many players that are in our box now, right, that are defending that actually can't get off the floor. How many times have you seen them head a ball away? So what are they there for? Yeah, and again, I go to what's happened to the old, let's mark the post. If I'm doing nothing and I'm not picking the body up, if somebody was on the back stick against Romero there, they clear it off the line, don't they? Because it's not a hard shot.
And I mean, how tall is Alanga? He's a short lad. So why have him in the box defending the corner? Pop him on this halfway line, and most teams in the Premier League will absolutely mess themselves because of his speed getting forward. He is going to get either he's going to get chances, or there's a chance the player's going to get sent off trying to defend against him.
Yeah. I found it. Like I say, I find some of the things discussed are a bit. I'm looking for excuses to give the public of why we're conceding these goals, and the excuses don't tally in my mind because you've got experience on there. They may be young, but you're, according to this, and I'm going to go on to Ross Wilson next. According to Ross Wilson, you're looking for players between 21 and 25. So you want to bring the age group down. Your experience doesn't come with age in football. They're all very young still. It comes in the amount of games that you've played, and that could be at your parent club that you've been, coming from. It doesn't always have to be a step up from the academy. I understand that. If these players that have come out of the academy team, that statement has ground. Playing for your side that you've been playing for 2 or 3 seasons has no ground whatsoever. So you're just throwing an excuse to try and cover the track there, lad. That's not. You don't need to say it. I'd rather him say nothing at all than come out with that.
Yeah, 100%.
So anyway, let's go on, mate.
Sometimes he just has to give an answer, and sort of he doesn't really. He thinks about what he's going to say, and it just gets sort of either laughed off or sort of not picked up on when he does that. as I say, these pressers are getting ridiculous. Basically, the questions that are asked, they're not asking questions about injured players. They're not asking questions about, the likes of the fact that we're going to have a young keeper on the bench. Is he worried about that? It's all just sort of aimed at almost having, it's like a boys' club, basically having a laugh.
Yeah, yeah. And that's like I said, are we just looking at the gentleman's club? You know what I mean? Are we just all mates in the round table type of thing? We'll do a secret handshake and see where we go. Because, like I say, don't worry, lads. I'll come up with something else to get you out of jail this week. Don't worry about it. I'll talk to the press. We'll get something sorted. But anyway, I want to go because this again. We talk about Ross Wilson now. Talking about Eddie Howe, and I suppose I should have done this the other way around because it makes me look a little bit foolish now. Ross Wilson shares how Eddie Howe has already stunned him at Newcastle. This has been all over social media, but I'm reading this from our trusted colleagues over at Geordie Boot Boys who do the ticker tape at the bottom. Massive shout out to them. They do some great work. So thank you every so much. And this is from James Rutherford. And according to what Ross Wilson has been talking about this week, obviously behind the scenes of the challenging Paul Mitchell era, if you like, it is vital that Ross Wilson and Eddie have a strong relationship. We've said it many a time, and a lot of pressure, I suppose, comes on Mr. Wilson's head now. And again, coming up to this big point of the season, because this is his first window as the director of the said situation, the purse strings. He holds them all. And he's showered Howe with praise, admitting he's an unbelievable work ethic and he's very much an elite manager. And I'm sure that's going to be absolutely high end to a few of you out there. But again, what merit deserves an elite manager's title? I've only worked with Eddie for 6 weeks, he says, but I can already see that he is an elite manager at the top of his game, at a club he totally understands and can handle the pressure and expectations, he said. I always thought I was a hard worker. And then you see this guy and think, Jesus, he has an unbelievable work ethic and are meticulous in his detail and planning. It means the world to him. He gives everything on the grass and he just loves it. He looks at his own place, demands on these players, but the rapport he has with them is top. I am firmly in the belief that without high levels of emotional intelligence, it is very difficult to truly succeed in an elite role now in football. And he has that in abundance. He is an incredible person. See, I should have started with this and then gone into the other one, because now I've turned it right the way around. Yeah, look, numpty. Says Pont Mags. I couldn't have said it better. There you go.
Barry.
I am knackered, mate. Absolutely. Come on. Elite manager? Where are we?
To me, Eddie's work ethic, there's no doubt in the guy puts in a shift. He's normally, by the sound of things, first one at training and last one away. You cannot call the guy for his work ethic or the way he obviously treats his job. He treats it seriously. He is good in that way. He's not an elite manager, I'm sorry. He's a good manager, very good manager. Could he become elite? Potentially. Definitely, probably.
Maybe he's thinking, though, he's elite in his work ethics. Because like you say, he's a grafter.
I suppose that's it. It depends how you look at it, I suppose. So if you're saying he's elite because of his work ethic, then yeah, he is. I doubt there's a manager in the league works much harder than him. But is he elite in regards to the way he runs a team and has this team playing and is developing the team and does game management? No, he's not. He's got a lot to learn. And my point is, and I think a lot of people's point is, we shouldn't be a club that's teaching managers. And
no.
He shouldn't have to be learning now. He's been a Premier League manager for 8 years. That's a hell of a time. And I know he hasn't been in the Champions League. I know that's sort of a new experience to him. But it's still just managing football games. So he's managed at the top of the English league. He should have a good idea of how to do things, especially, as I say, the biggest problem for me is in-game management, and I don't see any improvements in that, and I've never seen him improve in that, and I don't know why. I don't know why he hasn't changed things around. I thought, well, this never works for us, but
No.
he just doesn't seem to change that philosophy whatsoever.
No, he said, that's what I said. For me, I don't know why he has to try and cover, because that, like I say, when he comes up with things like that, that don't really make that much sense in my eyes. And I'm not talking for everybody here. Just didn't make sense for him to come out with that type of information. Just say, yeah, it was shaky at the end, but there's something happening. I need to, sort something out here. You know what I mean? Rather than try and make excuses that there wasn't enough. There wasn't enough people with heads. There was not leadership on the team. How many leaders do you need, for God's sake? You know what I mean? These lads have been together for years. I mean, apart from a couple, there's nobody else in that side that haven't been together for absolute years. I mean, to the point where you were the top of the league for goals conceded. You know what I mean? You hadn't got anything going for you, type of thing. Apart from you were banging them in the other end and not conceding them in this end. They're the same bloody people. Why are you making excuses now?
To me, this leadership group that he has and things like that, I know most clubs have them now and it's the modern game, but it's a load of bull. The man who should be managing that team and leading that team is Eddie Howe, and then his coaching staff. He shouldn't be relying on players on the pitch. Sorry, that's the wrong thing to say. He shouldn't have players on the pitch who he's expecting to manage the team. That's his job. What he wants the players on the pitch to do is follow his and his coaching staff's instructions and do what they're told, and get games, get we're playing better in games, and get what when we make changes, making sure the changes work. A leadership team. Sometimes you can have too many leaders. Sometimes what you want is the manager just to stand up. And this is another big problem. Sometimes what you want is the manager to stand up. He makes the big decisions. He makes the calls. If he gets it right, he takes the credit for it. But if he gets it wrong, he comes out and says, look, that one was down to me. And you very, very rarely hear Howe say that. He very rarely takes personal responsibility for what goes wrong on the pitch.
I think for me now, it's like I don't care how many people have got a voice as long as what they're saying is correct. You know what I mean? I don't want people to be spouting out across the field of play, asking players to go and do something completely what you told them not to do. You know what I mean? And that's what I said. You have to be careful to give too many voices, because, like I say, you're asking for trouble then, because you've got too many leaders and then everybody wants to be, the voice. And that's what you said. You've got to be careful of who you choose for that leadership group. But that's what I said, this isn't anything to do with age. This is something to do with players that have been playing together for so many years. I can't understand what he's trying to say there. And that's what I couldn't get my head around. But I suppose we better talk about Bayer Leverkusen, because we are obviously the eve before the big game. Big game for some, not so big for others. Newcastle youngsters received a shot call-up for the game tomorrow night in the Bay Arena. A young goalkeeper, Adam Harrison, has been called up to the squad because of obviously players not registered. The likes of Ruddy. I mean, even Gillespie's gone out there, and he's only travelled with the squad because he's not mentioned in the team. So we've got two young keepers on the bench. That's backing up Adam Harrison and Max, I think it is, isn't it? Max Thompson. Yeah, Max Thompson.
Thomas.
No, it's Thompson. Maxi Thompson. Who's the other one? Yeah. So that's the two under 21 goalkeepers, if you like, backing up Ramsdale. And like I say, because there's not inclusion, like I say, because of Pope's injury, so he's not there. And like I say, I have no issues with players travelling. Like I say, I have no issues with that whatsoever. Oh, excuse me. But like I say, the likes of John Ruddy and Mark Gillespie, like I say, just not involved in it. He's not had much experience nor exposure, to be fair. He has been up in the first team a couple of times. Obviously never graced the field of play. I think he didn't he come on in the pre-season game? I think he played something in the pre-season game but not a lot of minutes. And obviously, Sven Botman is not seen in part of the group of content released by the club's social media this morning because he's continuing to recover from his back injury. And, like you say, some of the questions at the presser, why wasn't he mentioned? How long is he going to be out? When's he going to be back? Type of thing. Are we just talking another player who is, on the verge of leaving Newcastle? It seems very strange to me all of a sudden that after we hear the upset from the likes of the players now, again, we're going back to the Isaac situation. And I don't know whether now it's that's locked in our mind, but Botman, we know, was upset about game time, not having minutes. And he had the question. He had a stand, not an argument, but he obviously had a conversation with Eddie Howe. And that doesn't seem to have been resolved. But again, are we back to where we were before with him? And I think questions needed to be answered. We're still in a decent position, and I saw somebody say we dropped down to 15th because obviously there's been results that have gone against us tonight. So in the Champions League, this doesn't make a blind bit of difference because at the time of this, it was the 11th. But I think we're now down to 15th if my eyes don't deceive me. So
jump in there, Gary, and
go.
Christina Cage very much for becoming a member.
Hey, Christina, well done, sweetheart. I mean, what you are flying at the minute, Christina. Like I say, you're going to be a panel member soon.
100%.
The top 8 teams, not in your place, mate. I'll see you later. The top team, the way she speaks as well. I mean, she can quite easily host. The top 8 teams qualify, as we know. Then 16 to 24 move into the playoffs. We all know this. And Newcastle are at the moment in a commanding position. And obviously the league phase of next month's PSV Eindhoven is they finish at Paris, which, like I say, none of these games are gimmies. So obviously the goalkeepers that have gone across, Aaron Ramsdale, Max Thompson, Adam Harrison, and Mark Gillespie's not eligible to play. Defenders, Malik Chow, Lewis Hall, Fabian Shaw, Dan Byrne, Tino Livramento, midfielders, Bruno Guimaraes, Sandro Tonali, Jacob Ramsey, Lewis Miley, Joe Linton, Joe Willock, and up front, Wissa, Murphy, Barnes, Ilanga, Voltamada, and Anthony Gordon. I did see somebody had put in there that they're thinking Anthony Gordon could be playing up front. I'll let everybody take a breath before I carry on.
We're a little bit short on defence there when you look at it.
Yeah, that's what I said. It's not, this isn't no gimme when you actually look at it. And like I say, it's going to be an interesting ploy. I mean, these aren't any pushovers, if you like. I mean, they have got vulnerabilities. And what Newcastle for me should target is Grimaldi. He's a full-back on the left-hand side. I can call them wide backs. Excuse me. And according to recent tactical analysis, when Leverkusen defend deep, you get stretched. Their wing-backs, especially Grimaldi, can get isolated on one-on-ones and vulnerable in deep, wide zones. That suggests Newcastle could look to overload or isolate Leverkusen's right flank, their left-back side, especially while pace or overlapping wing-backs on wingers. So, like I say, are we going to go more Murphy or are we going to go more Ilanga? Again, depending on who plays. I'm not really sure who their lineup is. I don't know whether it was Grimaldi that was recovering from injury. I know there's been a couple of them that have been missing. And like I say, they lost the weekend. So even though they've been indifferent in the Champions League, they've drawn 2, I think it is, lost 1, won 2, I think is their last 5. I'm sure somebody will correct me. I mean, they've been to City and won there. So we're only 1 point in front of them, even though we've only lost 1 more than they have because we've got 3 wins. And that's why I keep saying, his draws better than losses. Well, only by 1 point. You know what I mean? So should you not go out there to win the game rather than hold on to this draw like we tried to do against Marseille?
Gary,
crazy.
What would your potential starting lineup be? How would you do it? Would you go full out strength, or would you give some players a little rest?
Well, their system of play often, again, it's a 3-4-2-1 system that they tend to come out with. So the first thing you have to do is you look at, they'll be looking to win. They're at home. They're going to be, up there. And again, it's really uncanny because the last time we played them, 2003, we also played Sunderland in the same year. And we won both games, if memory serves me right. So it seems really uncanny, doesn't it? That we've got Leverkusen again for the first time. I think it is since then, 2003. We're playing them again for the first time now. So, and Sunderland in the same in the same week. So it really is a crazy way things fall for you. But I mean, for me, what we have got, and again, this is what I keep saying with Eddie. We've got pace in the team. These are playing with three at the back. They're going to need to lose one of them three to overload the middle of the park if that's what they decide to do. You know what I mean? To try and get that extra body in that midfield, to try and work bodies into the half spaces. And they've got players to do that. But for me, once you start utilising your pace and then start looking at those bodies, because whoever they decide to go with, of the three at the back. I mean, I'm not saying it will be three. I mean, Kwanzaa could come back. They could make it a four. You know what I mean? Depends on the style, but usually it's a three at the back. And whoever he picks to come in an overload, that's the space that I would be looking at. So you either go to Gordon or you go to Ilanga because you want pace. Yeah. I want to start Harvey Barnes. And that's what I said. For me, do you start saying to yourself, well, okay, do I start with Murphy and Barnes because they're more controlled, slow build up? Let's get, Leverkusen to use a little bit of energy. We'll keep them quiet for the first half an hour. And in the second half, I'm going to start overloading pockets of space because they're going to have to go for it then. They are the one that's going to be chasing the game, I would imagine, more than us with them being favourites at home. And like I say, for me, that's what I'd be doing. I would certainly try and overload that right flank and try and get down that right-hand side.
Just a quick reminder, guys, as well, when we finish tonight, you've got Chris and the late night team coming on, so keep watching. They'll be on from 9:30.
Indeed. Barca 2-1 now, says Irish. Newcastle 16, says 2 nuts. So, like I say, we are sliding down that slide, aren't we, in this league, so the Champions League. And that's the problem. It's like I said, as daft as it looks, you could be, by the end of the next 3 games, you could be sitting and lolling in around 21st place. And that is, if the results don't go for us, and you have to ask yourself, which is the easier game now? Is it these tomorrow night, PSV? Well, we know, even though we beat PSG before, they're a different animal these days. So it's going to be difficult, mate. So I think, like I say, that if we're thinking about going on, and for me, because of the congested season, the last thing you want is to be looking at another 2 games, in an already packed season. So I would be trying to get rid of that, let that go, and try and win at least 2 of these games. So midfield structure under transitions, if you like. Leverkusen tend to press and play proactive attacking football, but that high press, high line approach means that they lose the ball or are bypassed. There are spaces in midfield, and like I say, they lost the weekend. I can't remember who beat them. I mean, not a big team. They lost 2-0 and really struggled, lost their minds to a degree. They started to fight with each other. They was getting really frustrated. And again, it's only a few days since, there was a little bit of a kerfuffle between the same players. And it took a couple of lads to separate them. So, like I say, have they got the right mentality and approach into this game? That's where I'd be looking to exploit. Defensive shield is not always compact. Quick counter-attacks and fast transitions from opposition could catch them out. Newcastle should aim for quick counter-attacks, direct transitions, or exploiting quick changes of possession to hit Leverkusen as they are when they get disorganised because of their movement. So again, for me, I would go probably pace, but how Eddie moves that across to his players, again, start slow, go fast, I'm not sure. Because again, what I find with Newcastle and what the problem is, Augsburg, thanks Irish, that's who they lost to the weekend. But when you look at the way, we set up and Eddie set up, we've got no players at the minute, doesn't matter what the bench is, that seem to come on and make a difference. And that to me is something that Eddie has to change. And that's, I would imagine a lot of the time, that's got to be mentality. You can't have players like we had against Burnley sat on the bench and when they come on, look no different to the players that was coming off the field. Didn't change the way we approached the game, didn't change how much we kept the ball or how many times we gave the ball away. So that for me has to change, and that's got to be a mentality thing.
I mean, if you remember, Gary, one of our big things was that we had four wingers in the past, and it was obviously Almiron in the past on the right, but we had the four wingers, and the way games changed and were updated games was you played two wingers for an hour, then you put the two fresh ones on, and they come on and impacted the game, and we seem to have lost that completely. But I mean, none of the wingers are particularly playing well, but that impact of having two fresh wingers come on just doesn't seem to have the same impact. It doesn't have the same impact as it used to.
No, and that's the thing. Like I say, I mean, Leverkusen, have they got a different mentality? Because, like I say, they're doing okay. I wouldn't say they've been world beaters. They're certainly totally different team now. Alonso's gone. They're very beatable. So I think it's going to be an interesting one because what you're probably going to get. I mean, like I say, I know Nick. He's a massive fan of Chris. He's loving him at the minute. But you're going to get a bounce off him because he's playing in his homeland. He's playing, against a team that he's played several times before for different clubs. So when you're back home, it's like what you were talking about with Kane. When he comes back to play in England, he wants that. He gets that extra step because he doesn't want people to forget who he is. Do you know what I mean? And I'm sure you're going to get some type of reaction from him when he goes back home. So that's what I'm hoping, But there's got to be a shift, and you're quite right. I mean, the biggest thing for me has been our right side. Our right wing play has been absolutely incredibly poor this season, and that's got to be an area that Newcastle have to approach in a different mindset. And like I say, that's what I said. When you've got two players that are so deficient and void of ideas, put Willock there because he looks as though he wants to play, So give Willock a run out. You're not losing anything. That's what I'm saying. Even if it's for the first half, because he's a very good progressor of the ball. He keeps the ball to feet. He can cross the ball. We all know the type of ability that he's got. But at this present moment in time, you never know what you're going to get from Murphy. And like I say, at the minute, Elanga just looks void of ideas. I don't know. Like I say, I'm hoping he's turned a corner with the birth of his child. So fingers crossed, that's where we are with that.
I think a lot of people forget Willock's only 26.
Yeah. He's only a burn, man.
He's probably getting towards where he'd be at the peak of his career or just about there. Potentially, if we can get that lad firing again like he used to, we could have a hell of a player there. It just seems that we're not, that again, the coaches, and I don't want to put everything on Eddie Howe's toes, but Eddie Howe isn't willing to give him a chance.
Yeah, but, for me, this is, like I say, when you've got a team that's void of confidence defensively, right? And if you think of the way Leverkusen concede an average of 1.46 goals per match, on Newcastle, that type of team to put that much pressure on the goalie. Because that's where I look at now. I look at all of these little metrics and say, these are void of ideas. The clean sheet percentage is relatively low. They've only managed a few shutouts, meaning even when they win, they often concede. So on the road and under European pressure, they defensively frail. It may increase, and that's what I said. With the right approach, Newcastle, they can go and bang in a couple of early goals, changes the complex of the game. The problem, what I don't want to see is if they get that, is that low block, because we look all over the place. We've only looked good a couple of times against opposition when we've played low blocks. So like for me, that there is certainly goals to be had here, but it's the mental approach. And again, if Eddie goes in not to lose the game with that mental approach, and that's keep it tight, I think you lose something. I think you lose something offensively as a team, because your mindset is, again, who takes that don't concede mentality to that next stage, and doesn't go forward at all. So there's no out ball. You know what I mean? So, you have to question what's being said and how it's being interpreted by players. There's a lot for me. There's a lot lying on this. Dependent on attacking output, forward form, potential striker inconsistencies. Their attack has firepower, but when it misfires, it's poor. Good defending, tight marking. Their defence remains exposed. Their balance seems fragile. If their attack doesn't deliver, defensive vulnerabilities get exposed. They suggest Newcastle may benefit from that compact, then counter game. And again, that's what I said. Eddie goes for that 4-5-1, but he's got to have pace to get in and behind when they start making that high line. Sit tight, absorb pressure, and hit Leverkusen on the break when they overcommit. And then you talk about it's concentration for me, and that's what I said. For me, that's Newcastle's biggest thing. And Ramsdale, he's our goalkeeper, admitted it himself. Concentration when he's not being involved in the game, he's often his downfall. It seems to be, going to a number of players in front of him, if I'm honest with you. Given their defensive numbers and history, goals conceded, even when dominating, Leverkusen appears somewhat vulnerable to lapses in concentration. So, like I say, keep it tight. I think the more pressure and the more time that goes on, you get their crowd quiet, I think you can make this under a bit chaotic in phases. So it's certainly something that Newcastle need to do. They could exploit this by forcing frequent turnovers, pressing their half and Leverkusen build up and making them defence under sustained pressure, especially late in halves for near the end of the game. So I think it's all about mental approach. It's got to be the intensity again. Don't give Leverkusen the time and space we often see in Europe, where we just stand off and go deep. I think if you've got the mental approach where you're not going to give them the time and space, I think you'll see those forced mistakes happen in front of you. And that's where we have to be, at our best. I think in front of goal, like I say, if we can get 2 goals up early on, it's gone. It's bye-bye time. Because my problem is you're asking a player to do one job, and then literally as soon as you score, you're asking him to become a defender. And you can't really change it that way. It's literally about trying to manage the game and keep the ball, something that we've been very, very lax on recently. So that is it. Is there anybody in the chat that we need to say hello to and thanks to before we go any further?
I think it was just the membership, wasn't it? Who was?
Oh, it was Christina. Yeah, Christina became a member. Yeah, thank you so much. I say, I hope Becky feels. Yeah, absolutely. And I hope Becky feels well. And like I say, there's been lots of love sent from out there in Viewerland to our win. Like I say, with his Horlicks. And here he is, the man, the myth, the legend.
How's it going, folks?
Also known as the American Mag.
How is
very well.
Going?
Are you good?
Roy is going to be joining us. Tim is joining us. So we're going to have a good night discussion, I guess, continuing the discussion of the Leverkusen game. But tomorrow, we're going to play. So there you go, man. Good stuff, of course, as always, on the early night show, ladies and gents. Good show. And yeah, let's get right to it, ladies and gents.
See you later, guys.
Late night show. There you go. Late night show starts now. Let's get going.
Set up for maximum confrontation and super opinionated debates. The NUFC Late Night Show with Chris the American Mag, Derek the Mighty One, Rory Caviani, and the rest of the panel, Monday through Thursday from 9:30 p.m. UK and UFC Talk Radio, the voice of the Toon Army.
All right, ladies and gents, welcome to the Late Night Show. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button. Don't forget to do that. Please become a member if you can. It's me, the American Mag. We got Boki still with us. We got Tim and Roy should be joining at any moment given time right now. The volume, that music was really loud. There you go. We'll lower it there for a sec. And stay tuned. Maybe we'll open up the phone lines. Why not? Why not? Let's do that, actually. some people maybe a late night. A lot of people are just sitting back and relaxing and having a time before going to bed. But maybe some are still up and about and want to have their say. We won't have the Undisputed Show tomorrow because it's match day. The lads, Tim and Peter, will be doing an hour and a half super early, starting the build up. Then we're gonna get on with the live match commentary with Gary, Boki, and Mighty Win. Match day tomorrow away in Germany for the Champions League. So match day, man. That is the name of the game at the moment. Tim, how are you, buddy? You all right?
Good mate. Oh, good eye. Yeah. Aye. I've got this wind crashing against the window, so if you hear that, that's all it is like. But it's hectic out there.
Yeah, but it's what do you think about the Burnley game? We haven't gotten your takes yet. I'm sure you've heard ours. And,
I'll talk about it more obviously like tomorrow on Toon Twins. Yeah. But I didn't see it at the time. I was at work, so I've watched it back today, and I heard all the noise around it. Like from yourselves and other people, without seeing it. To be fair, right, I don't think it was quite as bad as I think some of the noise has been personally. Like that's not to say it was good. It was great, and there was obvious problems. I think the main issues for me in that game were the first, 5-10 minutes, and then the end, where we started the game really sloppily, and we just weren't there. And I don't know if it's a case of like we're turning up thinking it's Burnley and it'll be easy, or what. But I mean, maybe they surprised us, but we shouldn't be surprised. We should be on alert, and we weren't. So, Tino was sloppy as hell in some moments, wasn't he? As great as he is, and at the end, I think there's three things I would pick up at the end. Is first of all, is a silly foul by Cher, because set pieces is the only way they're going to get in. Coming back with one man less. So just you don't need to dive in. Let them have the ball. Do you know what I mean? We can defend them, but giving away a silly free kick in the halfway line because they're going to launch it. And then when the free kick comes in and it drops to their player, Lewis Hall, again, as great as he is, doesn't stop the cross. Just basic principle, stop the cross, and he doesn't. And then when the ball comes in, then the centre backs just wherever they were, I don't know where the hell they were, but they weren't marking the Burnley players. So like those were like the main, I think, major gripes. I think throughout the game, I think they tried to play, the triangles, the passing, obviously trying to break down, Burnley sitting deep. And it didn't work. It was just disjointed, basically. I would say disjointed performance. But it was comfortable, obviously, at the time. And then all of a sudden, you're giving away these silly fouls and making these silly mistakes and could have been punished, basically, in other games if it was another team. I mean, there's other kind of, I think, with performances from individuals we can go into as well that it was interesting to see.
It would be interesting to find out what would why Newcastle players make so many mental mistakes at the end of the game, and that cost us, because it's not the first time. And against Spurs, the same thing. A little ball just bouncing there and nobody gets it, And you can go on and on and on and on throughout the season. I don't know what's going on, but it's proven that it costs you points. So I don't understand the lack of concentration. I don't know why they were not in it the whole time. So
do you think a little bit of it is too many people defending at the end of games? I know it sounds a strange thing to say, but sometimes we just go so defensive towards the end of games that there's too many players around the ball, and everybody sort of gets in the mentality of, oh, well, somebody will get that because it's an easy ball to clear.
Definitely the case against Spurs. With our Burnley, maybe that was the case then. I haven't watched replays over and over. Obviously, I've seen that incident a few times, but it'd be interesting to know exactly who was where with that. Who was supposed to be marking those Burnley players and where were they? Like you say, maybe they were actually doing what you said there, or he's got him. Because that was crazy to be unmarked in a 6-yard box like they were.
100%.
Yeah. Well, Champions League, folks, it is going on right now. With a lot of scores, a lot of games are being played right now. 7 games underway in their last 15 minutes or so of the Champions League. So if we can update you on Olympiacos, if I'm not mistaken, beat Kairat. Who's Kairat, man? What is that? 1-0. Where's Kairat from? Ain't nobody got a clue. And by the way, we don't have Mighty Win physically right now, but we do got his voice.
Right, there you go.
So don't worry about it.
We'll have a bit of common sense until he turns up.
Howard.
You're out your mind, man.
Bayern Munich beating Sporting Lisbon. I mean, yeah. Bayern 3-1, beating them at full time. You got Atalanta 1-1 drawing right now with Chelsea. 77 minutes underway. 79 minutes between Monaco and Galatasaray. 1-0 up Monaco. 80 minutes underway. USG versus Marseille. Marseille beating them 3-2. Beating USG away over there in Belgium. And PSV losing at home right now. 80 minutes underway against Atletico Madrid. 3-1 for Atletico Madrid. Barcelona beating Frankfurt 2-1 right now at the new Camp Nou. Unbelievable stadium, man. Unbelievable stadium. They just opened up. Inter Milan 0-0 with Liverpool. Liverpool away in Milan at the moment. They are drawing with no Mohamed Salah. Man, what happened there? You're talking about a bombshell, man. It's unbelievable. And Tottenham 3-0 against Slavia Prague at the 80th minute over there. So Tottenham look like they're going to get that score. I guess we can talk a little bit about that situation over there, man. Talk about karma. Talking about, I mean, it's insane. When have you ever heard a player come out and say that? It's very rare. I mean, it's a nuclear bomb. I mean, you can't go back from that.
The thing is, right, when Klopp was in his last season, I think it was his last season, or second last season with Liverpool, and he put Salah on the bench in one of the games. Obviously, it was a rare thing, obviously, back then as well to happen. And he had him on the bench away at West Ham, and he kicked off big time then. It's like the moment he's on the bench, there's fireworks, you know, and he's on the touchline with Klopp. He's being subbed on, and you see Klopp, and I don't like Klopp, you know, with his behaviour sometimes and stuff he's said. And he's been like, sort of, way off it, bang out water. But he goes over to Salah to shake his hand. You're going on, you know, good luck. And Salah just blanks, and he just ignores him. And Klopp goes up and says, like, what's the matter? Shake my hand. And he just like waving his arms in the air and stuff, and like, as in like, well, you shouldn't have dropped us in the first place. I shouldn't be on the bench in the first place. It's like, and we don't know. We're not privy to like behind the scenes stuff and that. You've got to take that into consideration. But at the same time, he does seem a difficult character when he's being rotated, doesn't he?
Yeah, it's a weird situation. There's no going back after that, man. Somebody's got to go. I mean, he's plain and obvious what he wants. Ian Fleming says, Carrot are from Kazakhstan, Chris. Oh, there you go. All from the Uzbekistan and all the stands.
It's Boristan.
There you go. So, Bogey.
It's funny enough because me and Gary were discussing this earlier on about players like Salah who've got that little bit of edge to them. And sometimes, yeah, they do things that are wrong, and you know the sort of the disrespectful and things like that. But sometimes in a team, is that something that you need a little bit, rather than just everybody being the same old. Do you need somebody who's that little bit of a standout character?
One thing I will say is there are levels to this, and Mo Salah knows that he is very important to Liverpool. He's a Liverpool legend. There's no going back from that. Now, can he be petulant? Well, I mean, to be honest, all these guys do have egos. All these guys are hurt. Cristiano Ronaldo, if he gets benched, he'll be the first one to. He'll be devastated. The same with Messi. As much as people think Messi is a little timid, boy that never shouts or gets mad. That's not true. So these guys have that type of, and to be fair, why can Mo do it and not another player do it? Well, there are levels to this, and I would say that not that he can get away with anything, but Alan Shearer at Newcastle, he could do more or less. He could say stuff like this, and more than likely, the manager will be sacked, not him. We know that, so
To
it
be
wouldn't.
fair, I think Shearer didn't take it well as well, did he? Being on the bench and
Big,
like,
him and Big
They don't
Dunk.
like it because
well,
it
to be
feels
fair,
like
right?
they are the fault. They're the ones that I'm old now. You taking me off because I'm the one at fault, right? And instead of the whole team, basically, Tim.
I think Hullett's
Yeah, that's right.
Hullett's man management was left a lot to be desired. So I can understand from that point of view. But I think under Bobby Robson, I think Alan Shearer could have done more at the end of Robson's reign, in my opinion, to kind of support him a bit more publicly. And it was chaos anyway, with like you got Clive coming in, you got Bellamy kicking off, links with Wayne Rooney and stuff like that, and it was like I say, it was total chaos at the time. And then he benched Shearer against Villa, and Clive scored in that game, played really well. But I just remember like Robson was getting loads of criticism, and what could have done with Shearer to come out and say, "Look, I know my time as well could be coming to an end here in terms of Patrick Clive coming in rotation, but let's just all calm down and let's just back Bobby for now." But the rest is history.
And yeah, I mean, turn your gain down a little bit. It feels like there's a hiss in the background. Maybe that'll fix it. But either way, yeah, they can be difficult, to face out. But I mean, I don't think. Well, there might be the Salah's the problem. I don't know, but that'll be a very. But also the hypocrisy from the media, talking about no player can do that. No player can down tools and there you go. And Alexander Isak did the exact same thing. Actually, probably worse, because all Salah has done is, matter of fact, which one do you want? Somebody that like Salah that comes out and tells you straight how he feels and how it is, according to him, or somebody like Isak that just pretty much messed around for months and months and months, not training, not doing what he's supposed to. In this particular case, Liverpool put Salah aside. And, which one do you want? I don't know. It's just a weird situation, but there is a lot of hypocrisy in media about this whole situation between how they criticize or didn't criticize Isak, and now they criticize Salah. It's interesting how they're handling this.
No, but all the Liverpool journalists and people like Owen and Carragher and stuff, Isak was fine doing what he's done. But with Salah, no, he's wrong. He's done the same thing, really. One of them is a Belland who refused to train. The other one's just criticizing the coach. They're both Belland,
I'm still
anyway.
I'm still gonna say that what Isak did is worse. As far as we know, Salah didn't refuse to play or train. So I don't know. It's a very weird situation, but neither here nor there, ladies and gents. As far as the table, we're going to play Leverkusen tomorrow. Newcastle United right now sitting at 15th, just below Liverpool. I guess that draw over there right now at Inter Milan, is benefiting us a little bit so they don't get away. If we win tomorrow, that would put us. Let me see, as far as points is concerned,
we can go 5th.
Yeah,
we can go 5th tomorrow if we win.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. But I mean, Real Madrid, I think they got to play as well.
Yeah. If we hit 12 points, that's a job done.
Yeah.
Job done for playoffs, not job done for top 8, though.
Mm-hmm.
Which wins it, we'll get top 8, and then we're eventually going to win the Champions League, aren't we?
That's criminal, man, isn't it? I mean, it's...
Can't beat Burnley, 10 men Burnley. We're going to go win the Champions League. How we win?
Love it.
Oh, man, let me tell you something, man. I got a few wings.
The worry with that, Roy, is he really believes it as well. He really, really does.
Well, but one thing is, as far as hoping and as a fan, you think you can win every game. There's no issue with that, really. What you think, whatever you want. But as far as getting on here, you're supposed to have some level of common sense to have a discussion with a good foundation, because of this, because of that. He can't say nothing. There's no foundation to base Newcastle winning the Champions League.
Where
You
did
talk
Villa
about
get
one
last season in the Champions League?
Villa.
Aye.
Villa didn't win anything.
Did they get
They
the
got-
semis or quarters?
Quarters, I
Quarterfinal.
think. Yeah,
Quarters,
quarterfinal, which would be an achievement for Newcastle United. I think that would be great. That would be a great Champions League run.
Yeah,
but I
I'm
mean,
happy. I'm happy getting out of the playoffs. So if we get out playoffs,
no, you must get out of the playoffs though. With this new format, you must get out of the playoffs. I mean, come on, man. 24 teams qualify, man. Oh,
No. I mean, win that one, and then get to the top 16.
Yeah.
Like reaching top 16, superb. After that, anything happens, we get Juventus or something. But
I
if
mean,
you look at the top
it's a
5
double
or
leg.
6, we've got no chance.
It's
Well,
two legs. That's the
what's-
problem.
That's what worries me, because I think we can probably, let's say we play Real Madrid home and away. First game's at home, St. James's Park, and we do an Eddie 90 minutes.
We can do something.
1-0. Yeah, 1-0, 2-0.
Going on
Bernabeu,
there,
5-0.
the white wall is, I mean, come on, man.
Yeah, that's the...
One thing is saying
And-
things
and-
as a fan and what you want and wish. Another thing is trying to base it for an argument. And Tim, no matter how you want to look at it, man, there ain't no way.
Look at the draw, mate. Look at the draw.
But look at this. A matter of fact, let's do it quickly. Let's do this exercise. Who would we beat in a two-leg race as far as the ones that are qualified right now so far? First one, let's go with the first one.
What,
well,
from the
no,
24,
matter of fact,
top 24?
hold on.
You mean?
Let me go with the last one. Paphos. I'm assuming they're from from Greece.
Is that
I'm
20?
assuming. I don't know.
That
How
is-
man? You don't have to look, man.
yeah,
Paphos
no,
will be Paphos away and
Paphos
home
will-
and in between.
I think we can beat them, yeah. Home and away, we'll beat them.
And in between, man. And
Yeah.
then you got Juventus 23rd, man. They're not
I
doing
can
too
beat.
well.
I think we can beat those as well.
Juventus.
Juventus
I
home
mean,
and away, we can beat them.
Matter of fact, they're a huge team, but they don't really have a lot of history in the Champions League. Matter of fact, they have bottling history. They're like the Spurs of Champions League.
They're not
Isn't the
good
point
this
though that you
season.
can beat anyone on your day?
Yeah, but you gotta do twice though, man.
Home
You
and
gotta
away.
do it
Yeah,
twice.
We just have to think about
Twice.
it home and away.
But
Yeah. So I think
not
Juventus
over
we can
38
beat them
game
home and
season.
away.
So but let's go
4
one by one.
points.
Juventus. Do we beat Juventus in a two leg at home and
Yeah.
away?
I think so. Yeah, we can. Yeah.
So we can be a happy clappers. They can be happy clappers,
Yeah.
and we say we
Yeah.
beat Juventus.
Yeah.
Napoli
No.
at El San Paolo, where they got all the Catholic, they're praying and everything else, man. They got
We'll
God
not
on their
beat them
side,
there.
man.
We'll not.
We
beat
got
them
Win.
there.
He's a heathen.
Yeah.
So,
No chance.
but no, I mean, I don't know. Napoli, I'm gonna be a happy clapper. I think we beat Napoli, man. Tim, come on.
I haven't seen
We
them
can
enough,
beat them.
but you know,
I
They got
think
they got the,
at home,
Yeah.
at home maybe, but not
they
away.
got 7 points here. They got 7 points, man. They've lost 2. They won 1, the last one, and drawn the other one. I can't see the other one, but so I mean, Champions League.
This is so yeah. We won 3,
Come on.
they won 2, and drawn 1.
We can beat Napoli, man.
This is a
why is
strange thing
Scott
to say.
McTominay ripping it up? Sorry, boy.
Wait, let me check where they are in their league.
I was just going to say this is a strange thing to say, but I think it depends how the draw comes out as well. So most
If I-
teams probably, if we're away at first and then we'll bring them back to St James's Park and are
Well,
still in the
let's
tie.
use. I do think that the higher you finish, like I think you're half of the 24
Second in the league, Napoli.
are I think the better you finish, the more the home advantage you're gonna have. So right now we're way above Napoli. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure that's the way it works.
Yeah, I
But,
think second. Yeah, I think the top. So basically, I think if you
The
first,
first 12.
so yeah, so if you're 9th, you play 24th. I think that's how it goes.
Yeah. So
And then 10,
Karabag
23rd.
FC, Karabag FK. Come on, man.
Easy
Ain't no
game,
way in
easy
hell.
game.
Yeah, with
so-
Louis Miley and Rudy, we beat them, man. No, don't worry about that.
We'll beat them. Yeah.
But Leverkusen, they're right there. We're gonna see how we fare with Leverkusen tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow it's a weird.
Are we favorites to win this game tomorrow? First and foremost,
No.
no. You're being negative, man.
Where
they
are
just
they
beat-
in their league?
Leverkusen won the
league?
league last season, but let me check now.
Yeah, but that's those teams, it's
years
like
ago,
Leicester,
wasn't it?
man. That's 2 years ago
What's
anyway, I
sake?
think. But it's like Leicester, man. That ain't gonna happen.
The fourth in Germany, miles behind them. Yeah. But
I think
you don't
I
know
think
what
we
you
beat
get.
Leverkusen.
If we beat them
No,
tomorrow, then I think.
I think we beat Leverkusen. PSV.
Yes, we beat them. 2 legs, we beat
PSV.
them.
I don't think we have nothing to fear over there. PSV.
Yeah, nothing to worry about.
Monaco. Monaco. I think they were doing great though in the French league, if I'm not mistaken.
Weaker than Marseille and PSG, so I think so.
Yeah, there you go. We can beat Monaco. There
so.
you go. Galatasaray.
I'm happy clapping, Roy.
Hey, we all happy clapping over here, man.
You're saying
We
yes
all
to
happy
everyone. You're starting to be happy clapping.
Yeah,
What's
but,
going
yeah,
on?
but
What,
I think
like,
now
what,
I
two
think
more
it's gonna
Champions
get.
League?
I think one more.
I think
spot and then it's gonna get.
I think it's because we're sensible. It's just a mighty win. His whole goal is to make us get angry and shout, and that's what happens, man. But we are pretty sensible, balanced fans. So Galatasaray, they're right now losing 1-0. We can beat them with Osman. It'll be a tough one though, because we got to guard Osman and
they beat Liverpool, but I think the ball position
Liverpool.
was like 15%. They were just sat 9 defenders in the box.
And that atmosphere over there in Galatasaray, that's some atmosphere there.
Yeah,
That's some atmosphere. And them Turkish fans, man, they're not afraid to put them what do you call them, red lights, the flares, man. They're not bothered about none of that. You bet. So, and they'll stay.
I would go.
And they'll bomb your hotel right at midnight, so you don't get any kip. I'm telling you, man, they're South Americans, man. They're South Americans. Thank you, Watson, for the super chat. Says, on behalf of the absence of win, I'd like to thank the squad, probably the best squad we've ever had in the whole wide world ever, and manager to match. Love it. There you go, man. There you go.
Love it.
So thank you for the super chat. And so this will be an interesting exercise. We got a long way to go. We got a long show, so until about 11. So, we can keep talking about this. Marseille.
Liverpool scored.
Penalty.
I mean, well, I'm getting 3-2 here, but either way, do we beat Marseille? Are we going to learn from our mistakes?
I think we are better than Marseille, but Eddie needs
we
to
made
deal
mental
with it
mistakes
better
that
than
game,
we
though.
did.
You can use those games to say, can we beat them or not? We made mental mistakes. Pope made a huge mistake that you would assume is not going to get replicated.
So I think we should beat them.
I mean, Barnes did score a goal rather quickly, to be fair, but it was still open play. So, thank you, Irish Assassin, Chris, Roy. We cannot get 5th place due to Man City and Real Madrid playing each other. If one wins, they have more points, and a draw, Real has more points. So can we beat Marseille? Do you think on a 2-leg?
Yeah, I think we can. Yeah. Depends how Eddie approaches
on the day as
it,
well,
but...
especially the later rounds where there's more riding on it. And like you say, you get, if it's a second 2-leg thing, and you come back home on the second leg, it's a different dynamic to the group stages. So this obviously, look, I don't think we're going to win the Champions League, but it's as it goes on, momentum gathers, and you get the draws that you want, sort of thing. You don't want to be too of a doom monger and say it's impossible. Obviously, I don't think we're going to.
But hey, listen, so far we've beaten everybody, so let's keep going up. Barcelona's 14th, right above us.
No chance.
We are knackered.
No chance there.
Oh man, how way, man. Hey, they got a new stadium too, boy. It's gleaming.
Thing is, that draw would take us 10th. Okay, not bad.
But if we finish, in the most optimistic way, if you go over there and we come to St. James's Park for the last one.
Yeah.
I mean, over here, we could have had him, but our manager decided to put Walter Mata on the bench and Gordon up front, so you would assume that's not going to happen now.
Yeah, but they were missing a few players as well.
They were missing Lamine Yamal, man.
Yeah. Imagine Yamal against Dan Burn.
No, that ain't going to happen no more, man. I'm telling you, that's not going to. Be a happy clapper, man. That's not going to happen anymore, ever again. Yeah, but I think Barcelona, that's going to be a tough one.
Yeah, no chance.
What about Sporting Lisbon?
Yeah, we can. Yeah, that one.
Yeah, tough game.
Probably
tough game.
Yeah, like probably lose away, win at home, goal difference.
We played against Benfica.
Extra time.
We knackered Benfica, man.
Well,
yeah, but I think Lisbon is a bit better though.
Remember that game under Sunas, Lisbon?
Oh, that 4-1 when we lost Stephen Carr. Oh man, we had the yellow kit on.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, we were literally like I think it was 2-0 up on aggregate with an away goal. Yeah, okay, this should be it. That's just like it was terrible.
What? Ooh, now we get
1-0 at home and then 1-0 up away.
Yeah.
Now we're getting in murky waters.
They scored 4.
Wait. Now we're getting in murky waters, folks. Because now, say we got Man City.
No chance.
I mean, we beat them at home, though.
Yeah, exactly. Well, literally just beat them. So.
No.
I mean, but then you go to the... When's the last time we won at the head-to-head?
But that was before Shearer was born.
No, that wasn't even the head-to-head, man.
No, it was...
That was the main road.
It's more than 20 years. I think we beat them in the League Cup, though.
So we've never beat them at the Etihad? Are you
we haven't beaten them, no. Not in the league, no.
Well, the whole time they had the Etihad, they've been great. So,
yeah.
But so Man City would be a tough one.
Even with Shearer's last 5-6 seasons, I can't remember beating them.
What about Chelsea?
Chelsea, first leg at Chelsea, second leg at home, maybe. But first game at St. James's, second game at Chelsea, then.
No, one thing you gotta know for sure: no English team wants to come to St. James's Park. None. Yeah. To finish it off, at least to finish it off.
Yeah.
You know what I
I
mean?
don't think any team would want to come to St. James's Park. To finish
no, I know, but I highlight the English team because they know. You know, the other ones might not have a clue, and then they come and they, a bus runs over them, and they don't have a clue. But no, I agree with you. No team wants that. But Borussia Dortmund, we already played them before, and we kind of make mental mistake. We hit the post in the first game though 1,000 times. It just wasn't going to go in.
We had no striker almost in both games.
And when we went away, Eddie put Almiron and Gordon on the bench the first half, and the second half he brought him on. Remember? So
thing is, I think we used to play better football then than now.
Yeah,
and we should attack and balls in the box and.
Well, you do got a point. As much as we criticized at the time, I think we were playing better than them. And you got Tottenham. Tottenham easy walk in the park, man. They're 9th right now. We beat them like a drum. I'm not bothered about Tottenham whatsoever.
Yeah.
Then what about Liverpool?
They're
not the same Liverpool though. They're not the Liverpool of all time.
I know, but Eddie's got this phobia thing with Liverpool that always beat him. We beat them in a cup final, but
yeah. And Atletico Madrid, we played them in the preseason. They beat us.
No, just a bit.
Now
we're getting.
No, we did murky waters right now. Murky waters, man. Murky. Because then you got Real Madrid above them,
and it's Eddie's master as well, Simeone, where Eddie learned all his negativity from. No chance against his boss.
No chance against Real Madrid. Do you think we can beat Real Madrid, Tim?
Real Madrid, if we get them now, like let's say it's now, this week home, next week away, or maybe, because they're playing absolutely rubbish. So
to be fair, like I used to watch La Liga a lot more in the past, but I haven't seen them in a while now. So if you're saying they're playing crap, right, then I think what you're saying about St. James's is still relevant in that even they would prefer not to go to St. James's on a second leg. But obviously they've got like world-class players, so you'd need a bit of luck to beat them over 2 legs.
I think what you have to see as well is that Eddie Howe is a big game manager. I know you get big game players, but he seems to be a big game manager, and he can, for a one-off opportunity, set up a team quite well, especially if you can get the players pumped in regards to the standard that players that they're going to be playing. So sometimes I call Eddie Howe out at times, but I think that is one thing that he has in his bag is that he can't beat teams that are technically better than we.
Well,
He's good at putting all his eggs in one basket in 90 minutes, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Then you got PSG. I think that's going to be a tough one. Atalanta. We can be Atalanta.
Inter. We had Inter after Riyadh.
Inter
would be,
Milan,
I think.
tough one,
I
man.
think out of those top 8, the 2 Italians, I think we can finish off.
The Atalanta I think is easy. Then Bayern Munich, Arsenal.
No chance. Even Arsenal.
At the Emirates, I mean, it could happen though. Arsenal, we beat them at the Emirates for the Carabao Cup.
But that was last year. No.
Hey man.
Last year, maybe. Bayern and Arsenal, no chance. PSG, no chance. So those 3.
Anything is possible, ladies and gents.
But I think we can get to quarterfinal, which I think amazing. We come out of the quarterfinal, superb. If we go any further, then even better. But
we got the full-time results for
the point first tomorrow.
Every match today. Again, reiterating, Olympiacos beats Kairat, Bayern Munich 3-1 with Sporting Lisbon. Atalanta beats Chelsea. That's done 2-1 in Italy. Monaco versus Galatasaray 1-0 to Monaco full-time. USG loses against Marseille 3-2. PSV losing against Atletico Madrid 3-2 as well. Barcelona beat Frankfurt in Barcelona 2-1. Inter Milan and Liverpool. Liverpool wins that game away. They beat Inter Milan at the end of the game 1-0.
Yeah.
And Tottenham beats Slavia Prague 3-0. Listen, that is your result. Don't forget to smash the like button. This is NUFC Talk.
You are listening to NUFC Talk Radio, the voice of the Toon Army. Live daily on the website, on YouTube, and on every online radio directory. NUFC Talk, the voice of the Toon Army.
What were you saying, Roy?
Yeah, I think if you look at the top 8 now, they're on 12 points. So Liverpool's 8th on 12 points. I think any team now with 12 points has gone through. So guaranteed to be in a playoffs.
Yeah,
10 might get you there, 11.
Thank you, Warren, for the super chat. Pardon the pun, but there has been a gulf between. I'm afraid to read when he puts anything, so I gotta read it before I say it. But we got a matchup tomorrow, ladies and gents. What do you think Eddie Howe needs to do? Do we need to rotate? And rotate all of a sudden means that you're going to play the reserves for some people. I am of the idea that I don't think we need to rotate ever again, ever again. Until they retire, then we got to find somebody else. Unless they're in a coma or they're in as long as they got a pulse, they got to be on the pitch. That's my take now, because I do believe now they're rotating. First of all, is given too much attention to that nowadays in football. Rotate. It's back in my day, as any old head would say. Back in my day, there was no such thing as rotation. Best 11. If you're good enough, you can challenge for any position, or rotate one player or two here and there. But the main guys need to be on the pitch. And then if they're too knackered to even play, then you rotate them for that game. But right now, everybody's ready. Everybody needs to play. The best players need to be on the pitch tomorrow for me. I'm tired of this rotation because these guys seem like they don't have a clue when you rotate. So you don't have time to practice. Well, now you're going to practice on the pitch every time. That's my thing. Boki doesn't agree with that. That's fine. So let's get going then. What's up?
I think Rafa Benitez doesn't agree with you, Chris.
Hey, man. Rafa Benitez, where he at? He in Iraq somewhere coaching.
Like he said about, like, at the start. I mean, granted,
I like Benitez, but
getting more in the middle of the season, like the crunch time, if you like. So I understand, like, at that point you rotate less for me, but I do think that it still has its place at the moment, and I think with Ramsey, for example, like, he should have had more minutes before now. And I'm not giving him excuses. Look, obviously he had some chances to make an impact in the final third against Burnley, and he could have done better. But I just think players like him, if he'd had more minutes up till now, he could have had more understanding and more sharpness in the final third when he gets in those areas. So unfortunately, he does need to continue, I think, to get minutes. Otherwise, it's kind of pointless having him because you can have a player there who, by the end of the season, isn't in any kind of rhythm with the team.
Yeah.
So I'd still be having him in and out the team, depending on who you play.
What I mean, I guess, I would need to clarify is that you can put Ramsey in my opinion, take Joe Linton out. I don't think you lose anything. You can mess around like that, but in my opinion, Ramsdale, Chow, Chara or Burn, whoever you want. I'm not bothered. The two wing backs, Tonali and Bruno, and Voltamata and Barnes on the left, they need to play. Whoever you need to rotate after that, then that's up to you. I'd rather put Murphy on the right so he can cross them balls to Voltamata and feed him the ball for once and for all, so he can shut down Win and his cult, and we can win. So those guys should not be moved. I mean, Wissa now is there, so I mean, I guess Wissa can get some minutes, but you give the point. The main, the backbone needs to be, in my opinion, pretty much.
Chris, for me, there's two reasons why you do have to rotate, and I do completely disagree with you with this. The first one is that you can't expect every one player or the core of the team to play every minute of every game. We've seen it in the past, and especially this season when we're potentially going to be playing 60 plus games, they're going to absolutely knacker themselves out. And the other point is as well that when you do need the players, because players get injured or suspended, which will happen, those players haven't got any minutes on the pitch to be able to come in and have an impact on the team. They're coming in freezing cold because they've not played.
But the thing is, who needs rotating, to be honest? I mean, you talk about Ramsey coming in. Okay, he can come in for Joe Linton. Miley, he can come in he can come in for Joe Linton as well. Who else needs to come in? Ilanga you can make subs.
The fullbacks mostly.
The fullbacks still, man. When are they going to be ready, man?
Yeah, but the thing is, no, I agree, because look at Tino against Burnley. Like, that was his fourth game in 12 days, and he's just came back from a serious injury. Like, for me, I would have even considered, is it Shaha, that youngster, right back?
Yeah.
I know we're kind of like snookered in a way with Kraft being injured, but I would have considered him against Burnley.
Yeah. There's Warren, no rotation. The rotation is for chickens and kebabs, which we're going to be eating in the Toon when I go there. I forgot, what was that place that we ate, Tim?
I know what it's called. I know what you mean.
It's called kebab. Blah blah.
Is that
blah,
big market?
It's Roy Kaviani's kebab.
Is it the big market?
Percy Street.
And it was lovely, man. I'm not gonna lie, it was good, boy. It was late at night too. After many pints, it was a lovely kebab, and we took it home. We took it to the hotel and ate it. But needless to say, the kebab didn't survive the night. But either way, Boki knows what I'm talking about. He's
like Foster's.
No. Oh, the Fosters, they knackered me, man. It was criminal that.
Who drinks Fosters now?
Win, man. Win. Oh. Win gave me that. I thought it was unleaded petrol, man, and it wasn't good.
Because the Fosters you get in England is not the Aussie one. You get the
it's gassy as hell, mate.
I know.
Australians don't even drink that, man. They only survive because of England.
But we get it here. Sorry, here.
Because people are cheap like Win. They don't want to pay over a pound per pint. But
I think Win's acclimatized to Foster's.
Man, he doesn't eat nothing.
Well, technically, Win drinks cocktails, doesn't he? Because he does lager and a bit of lime. So.
Oh my
Shandy
God, it's criminal. Man.
Exactly.
It's criminal. But so yeah, I mean, so what do you think, Roy? Who do we need to rotate?
I don't know. He needs to think about the Sunderland game as well. So I think he'll start with Barnes tomorrow on news
But
closing
shoot,
for Sunderland.
first of all, you're never going to be, if you're trying to be arrested for the Mackhams, that's never going to happen. Because they don't play Europe, so you're never going to have a level playing field. Never. So, I mean, how tired can they possibly be, man? I started to think that, and I'm like, how knackered can they be to where they can play 6 days from now? 6.
No, it's not.
On the one hand, right?
It's 3.
I get it, right? Go on, Roy.
What, 4 days?
Because we play on Wednesday, and then they fly
4 days,
Thursday morning. And then
No,
they're not going to train. They're not going to train.
No. Yeah, man, this ain't the 70s, man. They don't fly. They don't get on the horse and get back to Newcastle, man. They fly on Saudi Arabia's private plane with their feet up, playing PlayStation and taking the highway.
On the same night, straight after the game. I don't think they'll fly back straight after the game.
How bad can it be? How bad is a flight from Leverkusen, from wherever they're at? I don't know the city.
A couple of hours max.
Come on, Roy.
But it's not the flight. You're not gonna. It's the training and recovery. That's what gonna affect them more. If the game was at home, then okay, they go back, and the next morning they do the recovery sessions and stuff.
I just don't see how tired they get. I do, because they're supposedly they train after home games. We need to stop doing all that nonsense, man. Stop doing all that nonsense. Because that's not, because they say they do that because lack of time, so they got to train out some players after the game.
But there's always knocks and niggles as well. You get knocks and niggles for some of the players, especially the wingers and the ones who get.
But I think that's the thing, though. I think I haven't got an issue with that if it's a light training, if it's to do with tactics and movement. You go here, he goes there, etc., and patterns of play. I'm not bothered about that. As long as he's not running in the ground and getting them a run like mad after a game, which I would have thought he's not. You know what I mean? So if he wants to train them, as a fan, I'm not really going to complain about that because he's trying to get the most out of them as he possibly can. And I go back, just on your point, Chris, I go back to under Robson and other managers when we had Europe, and to be fair, we never rotated, not much anyway then. And it is a bit crazy how now, you don't see it as much, whereas obviously you do see a lot of rotation now, whereas back then you had the likes of Rob Lee, Gary Speed, and obviously Solano. They would just play every game,
A week now, man.
Aye. Maybe there was some fatigue then, though, that, wasn't picked up on, that would be picked up on now. They've got all the stats and stuff, haven't they? So I think there's a balance to it, and I would still rotate. And with the Sunderland game, I'm looking at that game, and for me, right, I want Barnes in that game. So whatever you do for this game tomorrow, maybe you could play Barnes still and bring him off. He's sharp. He's had his rest against Burnley. But whichever way you go, for me, Barnes has to play against Sunderland because in that crazy atmosphere, right? I know Gordon maybe, you could say he'll bring his competitive edge, but in that atmosphere where everyone's flying around, we need quality, we need calm heads to execute what we need to do.
It's interesting. You say calm heads, but maybe I'm trying to say the same thing then. So you need players that don't care in the right way. That they don't care. They're not going to be bothered about what's going on around them. You're going to give me the ball and I'll figure it out. You know what I mean? They're not fazed by the music, more or less. And I think that Harvey Barnes is certainly that type of guy. You need to have Walter Mata there. You need to have everybody. Tonali. You need to have Bruno. You need to have. You could say Joe Linton probably because of the temperament. Therefore, maybe he doesn't play tomorrow. Because you will need temperament. However, you also that's a double-edged sword with Joe Linton for the Mackham game.
It is. It really is.
I think he's needed. He's more needed for the Mackham game.
But you think so? But then it could take 1 minute of blackout, and he ends up with a red card.
Yeah.
So that's something to think about as well.
Yeah.
Cheers to Corey. Says drinking Foster's is a war crime in Australia. There you go. So Wayne, pay attention, man.
Just say, Chris, right, at the Mackham game and rotation, right? I think as to who to play. Bruno, he's another one, right? He just needs to focus on the game. And yes, bring his steelness, bring his passion, yes, but don't get carried away with it. And I was watching the Burnley game, and even that game, there was times where I think he was getting fouled, and later on in the game, and you could see he was getting annoyed by it. And the next time he gets the ball, he holds onto it and backs it, as in to say like, "Oh, well, then try and get the ball for me again. Foulers, go on, foulers." Like, as like on the playground sort of thing, try and get one up on them. And he gave the ball away in dangerous area again. And he has that habit of kind of playing like a kid in a schoolyard, which is good in one way, but another way, he needs to just focus more on the job in hand and not get emotionally carried away with it all. And sometimes he does. So I do worry about Bruno as well in that game.
100%. I agree with that 100%. So it's that's an interesting game. But Eddie Howe, when he was asked today if he's thinking about that, he said obviously no. He's thinking about the best team that can beat Leverkusen tomorrow. I don't know how true that is, but that's what he has to say. Would you be thinking if you were the manager? Would you be thinking about the Mackems?
Yeah. Imagine getting thumped against them. That. No, but I'm not sure if the owners understand. I'm hoping they do understand the derby, but
not yet. But they're going to, either we win or lose. They're going to, and if they lose, they're really going to, because on top of how the season's going, and if you lose, man, oh man, it's not gonna be good. But they're going to.
Asrad Hullet, what happened to him after that derby, and he knows. Probably worst game in his life as a coach.
Because there was no going back from that.
Yeah,
and
so
Eddie hasn't had. To be fair, Eddie hasn't had that pressure in his managerial career. He's got a pressure as far as getting us up. He got that over. The pressure. I think the pressure, they hear it. They hear the pressure of fans moaning and not happy, atmosphere not being there because they don't necessarily are doing much to give them an atmosphere, which I want to talk to Tim about, by the way. And so, but they have avoided Eddie Howe and everybody else in the team right now, even players, to be honest. They have avoided the pressure of playing the derby every season, and that is a game that is a very, very difficult. And and to be fair, in our benefit, I don't think really how you're playing has a lot to do. Or it can really, but you get the point. Everybody, even if you're having a bad game, you turn up for that game for the most part. So maybe that will, so will they. So they're gonna be at home for the first time in how many years, man?
They're gonna be fired up.
This is gonna be even worse than the FA Cup. The FA Cup atmosphere over there wasn't that great. I know we like the banter and all that, but
the thing is, they have that team we played was nothing like the one we're going to play on Sunday.
Right.
Their fans knew then that they probably didn't have that much of a chance, especially when we won 1-0.
Yeah.
But now they think they've got a chance. And they are playing better football than us. And they're ahead of us as well.
Those fans, man, they're going to be on it. Can our players perform with that pressure? Those first 10 minutes, they're going to be knackering. It's going to be, I'm telling you, man. You gotta have grown men on the pitch of that game. That's why you gotta have Dan Burn, in my opinion. But I do agree with Boki on the general sense of it, because Boki earlier was saying that he wouldn't play Burn. I don't think by listening to him that he was even thinking about Jordy this, Jordy that. But Wynn, of course, he said you wouldn't play a Jordy. Wynn wants to play Miley as well in the Mackem game, and I'm not necessarily.
No,
I'm not necessarily. Come on, but I'm not. I'm not necessarily going to say that. But you're not going. 11 Jordans are not going to win on the weekend. So let's be real here. You need to have the players that have personality and to have the cojones to go out there and get something. I'm not saying that being a Jordan is not going to give you something, but you can't focus on the minute, man. Eddie Howe can't focus on that, man. Come on, man. So what if he's born in South Shields? That means you're half and half, so you don't know which one. Come on, man. You can't. If you're going, it makes no sense. If you're born in Washington, what are you going to do? It's one way. It's only one way to do it. It's only one way, man. It's only one way.
You know that full well.
There you go, man. You're born in Washington. There's only one way, baby. But I'm just saying, you know, if you're a manager, you gotta focus on more.
That's why I got my knee done in Washington.
You did?
Got your what done?
My knee,
His knee.
my ACL.
He'll send you an X-ray of his knee. He'll send you
I can't remember the hospital's name now.
Go on, Bokey. Bokey, you want to say something, man?
No, I'm fair. I agree with sort of the fact that you play your best team against Sunderland. Sunderland's the biggest game of the season for me. I don't. The one game when at the start of this season when the draw was made for the games, the two games I looked for were both the Sunderland games. And to me, that it's local pride. It's your local derby. That's the one that you have to win.
Yeah. But in this particular case, though, it's much more because some people are using it as just pride. So why you care? It's not. We need points in the Premier League. It's not. You know, we needed a point. So and for what it's worth, they're above us. So beating anybody above us will help in the Premier League. You know, so I wouldn't necessarily look at it as just bragging rights, but I think if we lose, those bragging rights will have a weight on this team. And that's something that we're not taking into consideration. Go on, Tim.
Just in like the players really need to be switched on in that game. When you look at the end of the Burnley game, you look at the end of like the Spurs game and stuff, and I'm not confident because the players there, as much as I think that they're kind of bought in and they want to really do well, they are switching off in vital moments, and we are going to be punished in that frenzy of a game if we are switching off like that. And again, temperament and stuff, and you know, Bruno needs to bring his passion but have it controlled. Joe Linton needs to be combative but not stupid combative, you know, and getting sent off and getting a yellow card and putting himself under pressure early and stuff like that. And you know, that's why you need a mix. You need a mix of the right ingredients in that game. And when you look at the team you're picking for tomorrow and the Malcolms, then I think it's totally sensible to weigh up what team and what players you think are best suited to what individual game it is. So, and it's not a case of picking one. You know what I mean? You don't have to like sacrifice a game. For me, we should be having the mentality of no, we're going to win both of them with maybe different players if needs be.
And I don't think the Marseille game we sacrificed. We rotated to sacrifice that game. We actually had it. We gave it away at the end. That ain't got nothing to do with how we started the game. We were up at Marseille because there was a debate whether Marseille or Everton, which one would be more important, or to rotate. Watson says it's a part of Chris's tour, Washington, and it's South Shields. I'm definitely going to Washington though. I talked to Peter, by the way. We're going to see George Washington's crib. We're going to see.
It's closed.
I think it's closed.
Aye.
Oh, I'm American. I'm American, man. They'll open it up. Don't worry.
I true. Can sort something out.
But I think he told me. No, he didn't tell me that. Never mind. What's the best restaurant in Washington?
It's great.
Actual restaurant. Waiting for the jokes. Whether it's Washington.
It's Washington Crib National Trust, Tim.
Aye.
Yeah. We may be able to sort something, Chris.
Look at that. Hey, Bokey's got all the contacts, baby. He's from Blythe. He's just like Dan Byrne, man. Everywhere he goes, you know, he got the key to the city, man. Good old Bokey. And Tony T, low on pounds at the moment, so I can't do as many. I appreciate you doing it anyway, man. Super chatting. So thank you very much, Tony. Appreciate Tony, Waza, and everybody else out there. Thank you very much. Hit the like button, folks. Don't forget to subscribe. And I'm telling you, man, we're talking about the Malcolm instead of Leverkusen, but it might have a way on Eddie Howe's decisions. Tomorrow. Again, I don't think it should though. I'm not rotating nothing, man. I'm putting Barnes. Because also Champions League now is becoming important because who are you gonna beat? PSG? You're gonna have to beat somebody.
It's that last one, yeah.
It's PSG. Who else we got? PSG. That's it, right? After this.
PSV. After this, Eindhoven.
Oh, PSV. PSV. Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm going to PSV.
And PSG. Yeah.
We got PSV. That's right. I forgot about that one. Well, I'm going to PSV. PSG and PSG. You can beat PSV at home. You get your 3 points there. But I mean, that's it though. You are really playing hard if you think that's the game we're going to win.
If we lose tomorrow, that game's going to be with a high pressure because we're not going to beat PSG away. So that is our last chance at home.
I'm not, folks. I'm telling you this, and I'm saying it now. And Happy Club, you better be aware. If Newcastle United don't qualify for the round of 16,
he's gonna.
It is not good at all. I don't want to care. I don't care about none of this. We participated. We made it. None of that nonsense. Newcastle United in this format should be qualifying. Have some standards. Go on, mate.
You've got disaster, and then you've got acceptable, and then you've got amazing. So quarterfinals, amazing. Get into the playoffs, it's acceptable, but not getting knocked out, that's disaster.
Yeah, you can't.
Especially,
if
you don't make Europe next season as well. So
I mean, devastating. You lose on 18 million euros. Did you know that? Did you guys know that? I saw. I looked it up. 18 million. Yeah. 18.5, I think. That's a lot of money, man. When you add it up,
that's why we were saying about Marseille game money.
And you get 2.2 million for every win.
Yeah. Which we
that's
wasted.
Insane.
That would pay for a couple of players.
Yeah,
wages.
A couple of. There you go. Waza says, Tony, I am 40,000 in debt, mate. Any excuse. There you go. It's 40,000 in debt, baby. Yeah. So I mean, I'm not too sure who would the Wissa situation. You don't see Wissa starting tomorrow, do you?
Yeah, too early.
By any chance?
No, it's too early.
Too early.
Even if he comes off at halftime, though.
You've got to remember, he didn't not only not have preseason, he didn't have. He did not only start the season, he didn't have any preseason as well because he was obviously in a little bit of dispute with former teams. So he's going to have to be built up for his fitness. You're taking a hell of a chance if you start him in the next few games.
But he'll come off the bench. It's good.
He'll come off the bench. He actually trained with Bournemouth, but he didn't play the pre-season friendlies. But he was training. But
do you guys think that
a couple of weeks? I think he'll start.
He'll start over who?
No, like in a couple of weeks, maybe against Man U or the game after.
Over who?
J7.
Don't avoid my question. All right then. Okay.
J7.
I'm just clarifying. Before I
4-2-3-1 common sense.
Well, this is the question, isn't it? Will he do this? This is what's going to be asked of him in a few weeks' time. It's going to be interesting to see.
Well, the thing is, as I was saying earlier as well. Saying the same thing. That's going to be now Eddie Howe's new criticism, so to speak. Like, why is he not playing them two together? And again, these conversations we had, man. People forget we had this conversation when Isak and Wilson were healthy. He didn't do it. So, what changes now?
Yeah, but Isak and Wilson, none of them can play as a 10. Well, Tamada can, which is almost doing now.
Isak could play though.
That's
he could
true.
play.
Well, Isak could to an extent, but I think he still likes to go in behind, whereas Voltemada definitely loves being in that 10. So I think Eddie Howe is wedded to this 4-3-3, and I know that he tweaks with it here and there. So I'm not saying he's completely regimented with that as it is, but I think if he was to change it, then this whatever you want to call it, 4-4-2, whatever, is more of a compromise because of the fact that you got Voltemada, who can come in and wants to come in more. So you are making up the numbers in midfield as opposed to having two front men. So I mean, personally, I don't think he'll do it, but I think he has got more of an out this time that he would have back with Isak and Wilson, because that is more two front men as a pairing, which is more unlikely for a manager to do these days.
If he's not going to do that, Tim, why did he sign a player like Voltemada? Because Voltemada isn't an impact. He's not going to be an impact sub.
No.
So
never.
Why sign Voltemada? if he's not willing to change formation.
Well, it's technically
I think it's
I think it was a panic signing. I think it was just a panic signing because every single play he went for, they couldn't get, and that was the last one. And panic signing.
Wissa was
Funny
also
enough,
at the last minute, man.
yeah, but he was going for Wissa at the beginning, and then Isaac thing happened, and then we got
Wissa. Let's clarify this because all of a sudden Wissa is, you know, R9. Wissa's coming in to be a Callum Moses' replacement. So I don't. I mean, listen. I think he'd be quality, but I don't see this this unbelievable player that's going to turn things around for Newcastle United. I mean, you know, he might. I'm not saying he won't. I think playing both of them might do that. But again, man, you know, we keep going around the same thing over and over and over. Tim, did you want to clarify?
Yeah. So I think I agree that Wissa was probably the high up on the list. Well, he was, wasn't he? So we were going for him. It wasn't going through. So, like you say, it's a case of we need to get somebody through the door. We've got Voldemort on the list. He's more of a curveball, if you like, but we'll go for him, and we'll see if we can get somebody else through as well. And obviously, we got Wissa through eventually. But I think, to be fair, I think Eddie Howe would have wanted 2 strikers to begin with, and I think he just would have saw the two of them as players that he can rotate. You know, some plays one plays some games, one plays another.
Lovely super chat here from Laura Toon Wifey says, I mistakenly said to my husband that I was happy for Sunderland doing so well. It's surely great for the Northeast, and the look he gave me was divorce.
You deserve it,
Proves
Laura.
that we're wangers. Proves that we're wangers.
Yeah, and the only win wanted them to get promoted last season, but I wasn't bothered at all. And now we got to deal with that nonsense.
I didn't want to see that.
Now we got to deal with that nonsense. You know, we could have had another match this weekend, possibly trying to get some points, and now we got to face the pressure that is to go over there and get some points. By the way, man, in this century, our record against the Mackhams is not good. Not good.
Say, Chris, right? This week reminds us. I'm going back again, but it reminds us of a week we had under Pardew where we had. I think it was only 2 games, but we had Benfica. I think it was 3 games. It was some of the game we had. I forgot what it was, but it was a Premier League game. Then we had the Europa League game against Benfica, quarterfinal, and then we had the Mackhams straight after that.
Is that the Canio one?
Aye.
Oh,
And it was
Was
like
that a
this is
2?
make or break.
Was that 2-1 or something?
3-0, wasn't it?
It was 3-0. Aye.
Yeah.
Oh.
And Benfica played really well, but we couldn't quite get over the line. And the hangover against the Mackhams was just like terrible. So it's a bit like that where you win those 2 games and the season looks totally different.
But Chris, I think this run of games we're going into is maybe a little bit what you talk about. We're sitting here worried about them. To me, we can win all 3 games. We can win the Champions League game tomorrow. We can win against Sunderland, and we can beat Fulham. We're that sort of team that we can do that. So let's not sit here and be pessimistic and worry if we rotate the team. We can go into all 3 of them games confident that we can get the result that we need in each game.
Mm-hmm.
I think sometimes we worry a little bit too much about the opposition. We need to.
Why are we rotating
positive?
We don't need to rotate.
But that's part of the job. You've got to rotate, but even rotating, we can win these games. I think maybe it's a little bit what we need to say is don't worry, we're gonna smash all 3 games. And if we don't, we'll come out at the end of it, we'll discuss it then. But I don't see any reason why we can't win all 3 of these games.
Yeah. I mean, I think with the Burnley game, as much as like everyone was up in arms about it, but like we're better. We're now better for the likes of Miley got more minutes when he came on as well, didn't he? And obviously Ramsey played most of the game, and Alanga. Like whatever you think, it's good that they got those minutes under their belt because they are better placed now to come in future games. and get that understanding with the teammates and show their qualities. And I mean, Elanga's a really interesting one. It's like, what's happened here, sort of thing. But even he, right? I know people were slating him, but I did see small signs in that game that he is on the right path, slowly but surely. Like, there's massive faults, throughout the game. I'll absolutely grant you that. But like I say, even with him, I think I could see that he was trying to do things and was doing some things that were going in the right direction. So like you say, Borky, like whoever we play, we need to just step up, and we can step up and win these games. It's not beyond us, but we need the right mentality as well.
Yeah. Thank you, Waza, for the super chat. Bloody hell, Boki. Are you okay? I am shocked. He was very positive there for a second. But listen, I told you, man, without, you see, what's the common denominator? Win is not here. So we can have a sensible conversation without, somebody being antagonistic. So,
Chris, I'm looking at our starting lineup against Burnley and the players on the bench. We had almost £300 million on the bench, and then the players that started as well, they cost. Oof. So you had Gordon. What was Gordon? 40 something. Walter Marder 17 and Alanga. So that's like 200 million up front, or 150 or something. Then you had Jacob Ramsey starting and Bruno. So there's another 80 million. Willock was at 20 million, wasn't he? Ashley days. And then you had Dunburn, okay, Chow, Fabian Shea, Livermento. So even the team that started was like 300 something million. So you get to the level, you say, now we're rotating, but the lad playing is costing 50 or 40, 50 million, and then the one on the bench is 40, 50 million.
Mm-hmm.
So we're growing on paper, but unfortunately, some of these players that cost 40, 50 million are not performing. Like Elanga doesn't look like he's worth it, or Jacob Ramsey. That's the issue.
Wait. Ronnie says Pardew won 5-1 against who?
That was Halloween.
I've never beat the Michael 5-1 though.
We did Halloween.
Yeah, but that that wasn't Pardew though.
Halloween.
That wasn't Pardew. Pardew lost like five. He lost like five derbies in a row. I think.
No, that was him. We beat the Mackhams 5-1.
It was Chris Hutton.
Was it
exactly
just before?
Yep.
He got sacked.
It wasn't. Chris Hutton left probably like, I think it was like 5 weeks after. 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah. Pardew came November or December.
Nobody defends Pardew more than me, because I think he was. I thought we were going to win the international FIFA World Cup when he came on. If we finished fifth, but the Mackhams wasn't his thing, man. He lost every time. We lost miserably every time.
It wasn't just.
I think if I'm not mistaken, it's like 5-6 games in a row. It's criminal, man.
6.
Look it up. Somebody look it up. It's criminal.
It was 6 in a row. No, but it wasn't just him. It was him. It was
John Carver.
Carver, and then
I remember one game winner that was
McLaren.
Just rip your guts out.
McLaren's one was unlucky because we dominated that game, and then Colaccini got sent off.
Aye.
What was the game winner? No, it was under Pardew though, man. The game winner, they beat us.
Pardew lost 3-0 twice, I think.
Not 3-0. It was a game winner with it. I feel like it wasn't this.
Pardew was
1-0 last minute. Adam Johnson.
Right, yeah.
Adam. Oh yeah. I think that was our corner as well. We had a corner.
Yeah.
We backed past it, and then it ended up now a net. Some things never change, does it? The worst one was the Canyo's knee slide. That was the worst one. And then I think that was the same day as the horse punch.
We had when we got a red card, and then we were 1-1 at the end of full time. That must have been
1-1.
13 or 2013 maybe. No, Rafa. No, it's Pardew, man. I know Pardew like the back of my hand.
No, Pardew.
So it's Pardew.
No.
I can't remember what year. It must have been 13 or
Asamoah Josh scored with his bum. He hit his bum and went in.
And we had 10 men. I think that's the best performance he had pulled for Newcastle against the
No, but he beat them. He beat them and Ryan Taylor. We beat them 1-0 away and then drew at home. That's the finish 5th.
Yeah.
That's the season finish 5th.
We can talk about some of the wins we've had against them as well. You know, remember when the 5-1
baby,
Bramble got sent off? Yep, and
yeah,
what was it? Emery, the little babe Turkish midfielder that we had?
Yeah, free kick.
Emery was 3-2.
Wow.
I was behind. I was in level 7, right behind that.
Yeah, beautiful free kick.
I remember Nobi scoring a penalty against them too.
Solano.
A penalty against them. Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Shearer wasn't playing, was he? No.
So Shearer must have not been playing then.
Shearer was injured in that game.
I know what game you mean. Aye.
Yeah.
I remember though, because I used to watch Solano closely, so I remember him scoring against the Macam.
You talk about cool heads. Do you know what I mean? In that environment, Nobby steps up in Shearer's absence. Like there's no doubt he's going to get slotted away.
Yeah.
He was
just
that's a fair point, though.
Yeah, Solano, wasn't he? He was just an absolute brilliant. I know we're going off subject, but Solano was just an absolute master.
Best right wing we ever had, man. Best right wing we ever had.
100%. 100%.
He could have got in most teams, you know, honestly, in the Premier League.
I think he would have got in any team. I think he would have got in any team in the Premier League.
Well, he was gonna go to Arsenal. Arsenal wanted him as well as Newcastle, but he had talked to Newcastle first, so just basically honoring his word, so he came to Newcastle. But Arsenal wanted him, and then the Bars he probably would have been in the Invincibles. I mean, not Invincible, but maybe in the late '90s, Arsenal was really good. I don't know. The Invincibles was with early 2000s.
2004.
Late '90s, they would have won the FA Cup against us.
He would have been his peak around there, Chris. So you're probably right. He was
slotted right in.
Yeah.
He would have been brilliant in that team.
Aye.
But
do you know he's one of the only players that I've ever known come back to a club and just there was no change in performance. He was still as good the second time round as he was the first time.
Yeah. Totally. The thing is, right? Totally. And when he came back, he played right back at times, and it was like he played right back all his life. He had the nous to know where to be. He wasn't a big lad, obviously, but he could use his body just to nudge attackers out the way. He knew where to position himself. Do you know, that's how clever he was. That he could just slot in a right back and still do his damage going forward as well. He was an absolute class act.
Yeah.
He can cross the ball.
Brilliant player.
And he still lives in Newcastle, baby. His son
his niece lives here.
Graduating. His son either graduated or is going to the University in Newcastle. And hopefully I'll see him when he hopefully he's because he's in Pakistan, but he's coaching Pakistan, so I don't know if when their league starts or the national team, I think it was, or something like that. I don't know. But
I mean, could you imagine slotting Solano and Roberto Ginola into this team?
You want to meet Boki? You want to meet Solano, mate?
Instead of our wingers, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, mate.
You want to meet Solano, mate? Boki?
I'd love to meet Solano.
I'd love it if we meet him.
Love it if I meet him. Love it.
Well. Let me work my magic, man. Don't worry, man. Got the Peruvians think alike, baby. The Peruvians think alike. He always goes to the same place.
Well, just under Robson, like obviously, God bless Sir Bobby. We all love him, but that was one of the mystifying things at the time where Bobby got rid of him. And I don't know if it was a personal thing or not, but it's like, why are you getting rid of the national team?
I don't know if it was the same time, but there was a national team thing where he said he wasn't going to go, and then
I know he wasn't happy with Nobby going to Peru all the time, but it's like, come on, we really need him. And
national team,
that was kind of the start in a way with Robson, where it started to go downhill, I think.
But the thing about it is that also Robson was very old school. Like, you give me your word should be worth more than your entire outfit, more than your house, more than your cars. And Nobi, I think, I haven't verified with him, but I think he told him he wasn't going to go. And Sir Bobby didn't, the word is your word, man. He didn't follow through. So, but I don't know in that particular case. So he ended up going anyway. Because at the time, like now, if they call you, you have to go. The club can't stop you. But if you kind of have this kind of like Wissa's had a conversation, I'm sure in the background to say he's not going. You know, imagine it would be the same as say Wissa saying I'm not going to go to the AFCON, and then he does end up going. Then Eddie Howe, not good. So you know, kind of in that sense, I guess you can say. But I agree with you. I mean, you kind of have to put your all egos aside, I guess, right? From everybody, managers, players, should be that way at least. But Pardew, man, I like Pardew. He's on TalkSport now, you know, talking. But he's probably the only great man. Chris Hughton was good, but he only manages for like a year, I think, didn't he? For like 2 years.
Championship and about 4 months.
2 years.
Premier League.
So Chris Hughton
It was weird. It was weird. There was no reason to sack him.
Oh, there's a reason.
For something.
There was a reason. Mike actually didn't like him.
When you think about it, Pardew was the only manager that we've had in the Premier League that left to go to another club, so it was completely out of his own. It was completely under his own steam. So he didn't leave because he was huffed or anything. It was completely his decision to go.
Yeah, but I think he saw the light.
Remember
he saw the light because
PardeWout.com and all that stuff.
Well, exactly, because he was tight with you know who, and he saw the light, man. He saw I gotta get out of here before it explodes on me. You know what I mean? And it did explode.
Everything went downhill after he left. Carver came. Oh my God.
Pardew did well for like the circumstances and stuff. But I think one of his issues was that he kind of promoted the status quo in terms of like where Newcastle we can't compete against this team and that team. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I think that was part of the problem where he was fronting the regime of we're not going to go anywhere as a club. So as much as he did well with certain players and you know his motivation and stuff and kind of getting us up to fifth, like he was the face of the regime that had no interest whatsoever in actually progressing as a club. As unfair as that might sound, do you know what I mean? That was part of the problem.
If you think about it, finishing fifth was so talked about that it was kind of detrimental for us because it felt like we won everything and then you know and then that's it. You know what I mean? Like it didn't feel like there were more, if you will, ambition to just do it again next season and kind of be that team to compete.
He didn't buy any players in the following summer, and it was.
But he didn't. It was Ashley. Man. Ashley bought players, man. No manager bought any players. You know, in that era, it was all Ashley controlled. You know, so
yeah, we were about to get relegated the following season, and then he went and bought 5 French players in January on the same day. Was it Sissoko and those lads?
Yeah.
And so I think we managed to stay up in the last 2-3 games.
Thank you, Waza. That 1-1. I nearly what was I say? I nearly got my seat taken off. What is that? Naughty.
He got me seat taken off me because he was being naughty at the game.
Oh yeah. Well, that was that one. It was 1-1, wasn't it? No. That game winner. I remember that. I feel like my guts got ripped out of me. It's just unbelievable. Warren says exactly what I've been saying. We need flair player.
Flair player.
Flair
yeah,
player.
We do need one. Yeah,
we do.
That's Barnes, baby. Nah. That is Barnes. He is the one with the magic hat. He is the one with the lamp. He is Aladdin, man. Come on, Roy. Yeah.
Somebody like Ezzy.
Gotta rub the lamp.
He's not flamboyant enough, Chris. I get what you're saying. He's a good player, but I think what was as saying and what me and Roy are saying is you need somebody who's a little bit different, a little bit sort of
you need a Gaza
Eddie Howe type of player. Yeah,
Gaza
player, or somebody like that who
Ben Arfa
will drive the coach absolutely crazy.
Tim Ben Arfa
would come on and change games.
We had one in Maxi as well, and we just got rid of him.
Yeah, he doesn't like that type of player, and he's the top and bottom of it.
Maxi is like a wild horse, so you know he's wild. Don't start him. 15 minutes left, 20 minutes left. Bring him on. Go on, mate. Tell the lads. A bit like
I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, remember when Gaza got the yellow card against Germany, and Lineker was like, He's gone like that to Bobby Robson about he's like, just leave him, leave him,
Yeah.
and he's like a wild horse. You can't control him. Just leave him. So
he can
just do that with Maxi, but not get rid of him.
Barnes can dribble. He's not fast. If that's what you're talking about, he can dribble the ball. All the
Oh,
quality in the
really?
world, man.
No,
he got all the quality in the world,
miles.
man.
Maxi,
give him the ball and let him rub the lamp. Let him rub the lamp, and the genie will come out, baby. Don't worry. You don't worry about him.
No,
Come
but
on, Bobby, you got something to say about Barnes?
But Barnes is great at what he does, but he's not a flair player. He's not a player.
Flair you're talking about is in
I'm
somebody
talking about who's different, who's completely different. And
by the way, Voltemata scoring goals
like that.
Voltemata scoring goals like you wouldn't think a Newcastle player would score. You know, with the back flick, with starting. I agree. You're talking about personality. If you're talking about personality, well, I mean that. You bring Gaza in, and you'll get more than personality. Trust me. You're not gonna show up on time. You're gonna show up. He's gonna be in the pub right before kickoff. I mean that. I don't know if I'm not sure you want that though. So,
Eddie wants
what players like that? What players like that though nowadays? To be honest,
it's a bit of a dying breed in a way. You know what I mean? There are still some out there, but there's not as much these days. And I think it's a shame for football where everything is so regimented that you miss out on some characters. That
I agree with that. I agree with that.
We need to go to Brazil and look for one.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to bring up. When they asked this, there was kind of, I mean, this is not the Brazil that it's always been, but just a bit before this time, they asked Ronaldo, R9, the proper one, not the pretty one, about what's going on with Brazil. Brazilians, players like you, like Ronaldinho, like Robinho, on the pitch. I'm talking about. They're not coming out no more. And he said, well, I mean, Brazilians are not Brazilians no more. They're born there, but at 11, 12, they come to Europe, and they're European.
Yeah,
those players that are on the pit, on the concrete jungle, man, they're gone. That creativity is not there anymore. That flair, playing with with a couple of shirts all tied up, it's a ball. It's not. It's not there no more. So
exactly. That's it. And I'll say again, like, as harsh as it sounds, Pep and his tiki-taka, like, for me, has damaged the game. It sounds brutal.
No way, though. You can't blame him, though. He's the one that played with flair players.
No, I agree. And it's not his fault, in that you've got managers copying him, and that's not to do with him necessarily. I'm just saying that he was the origin of where it began. And then it is, like you say, it's not his fault, but you got coaches seeing that as like the supposed right way to play. Everyone copies it. And then all around the world, you got, even probably at academies and stuff, having this style of play implemented. And you fast forward years later, and these sort of mavericks, I'm not saying you have to go on like an idiot, but just in terms of style of play, those sort of mavericks have kind of been weeded out of the game. Yeah. And you have cut of players. And, it is a shame. I mean, look at, you got Tino Aspria, obviously Colombia and not Brazil, but he's one.
Oh, wow. There you go. That's another one right
he's
there.
Like, who's this character? Do you know what I mean? He's doing Cruyff turns and stuff on the wing. It's like, whoa, look at this flair. But he had substance as well.
Oh, man. He didn't need a salary. You just got to pay him at the pub. He'll be all right.
Do you not think as well, though, that you need a manager from anywhere? Not this isn't put it on Howe, it's just going across every manager in every league to start playing a different style of football. And
well, that's the problem.
This Pep football.
It's all
everybody's just followed it.
It's all direct. Everybody running, and that's really what it is. And those players that are thinkers, that are maybe a little overweight. You know what I mean? They like the fish and chips, but when they're on the pitch, man, they can take care of business. People don't like those no more, and essentially they're going to get phased out because in the academies now, you don't want those players. So, yeah, it's a dying breed. I love the proper number 10, the number 10, the good old number 10 is knackered now. You know what I mean? The Maradonas. You know what I mean? All those guys.
Diego Maradona for me.
Diego Maradona.
Because we mentioned Gaza because of attitude. Gaza would never have got through an academy, I don't think, now.
Oh,
Yeah,
probably not.
He'd ever made it.
yeah.
I don't know if it was. I saw a video of Milburn, Jackie Milburn, talking about Gaza when he was coming out. He said, this kid is going to be unbelievable. When he comes up or something like
Yeah.
that. And but you're right. They probably would shut him down. And
Since he was
I'm not
12
sure.
or 13, he was just like
And even
another level from the rest of the kids.
And Gaza now, I just saw a picture of a quote of him saying, in this particular game, he said, I'm never changed who I am. I'm always going to be Gaza. I'm never going to stop drinking. That's just me. So, I mean, it really is not a good thing. So, is it a good thing that they're gone? But can you not tame those guys? Like, don't drink. Don't be a drug addict. Don't do that. But
it's the people around him as well.
Yeah,
that's it.
Doesn't help.
I think another one is Wayne Rooney.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wayne Rooney.
Does he drink now?
Well, he said he stopped, I think. But Wayne Rooney, I never knew he had any issues. Wayne Rooney, because
he did.
Wayne Rooney came through. He was a free spirit. You know what I mean? Like, gives the
That's
ball.
Right.
Let us do me damage. North Beer, just free spirit of, I want to have a game of football here, and I'm going to show them how good I am.
And he was like that, playing here in the MLS for Dallas FC. I mean, old as hell, like Mighty Win, but he was in the center circle. Boom, a super goal from the center circle. You know what I mean? Like you need players that would try something that that people don't think of. You know what I mean? It's those are going. That's a good shot, Wayne Rooney. I don't think that Wayne Rooney was a troublemaker. I never heard of him.
He was tough as nails, and he kind of was
tough as nails.
Let his foot in plenty of times. That's for sure. But like it was refreshing in a way, like more so. Like you look back now, and you think, where are these players coming through with the bit between the teeth? And we're on about Eddie Howe and the young players having to kind of not pamper them, but nurture them into the team. Ideally, you want the odd player here and there who comes through who's got those tough shoulders where they're like, no, I'm ready. Like I might make mistakes, but just put us on.
But then you look at Wayne Rooney and you look at Ronaldo. They're about the same age. Look at the difference in the two of them. I mean, Wayne Rooney's like a middle-aged bloke now, and Ronaldo, who's been a professional player all his life, is still.
But he has that attitude as well. He has that attitude clearly.
Yeah. He doesn't drink or anything.
No.
Ronaldo.
Yeah, but I mean, the personality, all of that. I mean, David Beckham, David Beckham, aside from it looks, but David Beckham, man, he worked. He was
Up
documentary.
To 37, I think.
I have to thank my dad why I can shoot with my left foot, because my dad told me, you're gonna do this or you're gonna waste my time. If you're gonna waste my time, you can just play football, there's a hobby. But if you're gonna do this for real, we're gonna do it for real. And he made him shoot all day with his left leg, all day against the wall. You know what I mean? So you need a coach's badge to do all of that. So different breed of people, man. Nowadays it's not.
Just say as well, Chris. Right. David Beckham, his crosses. Right. You put one of his crosses into the box now in any game, that will cause damage. I don't care how you're playing; those crosses will cause damage. What do you not see much of these days with Pep ball? You don't see many crosses like that.
Yeah.
So to me, there's no logic. You've got a weapon to use there. If you can hone that skill, you've got a weapon that can hurt defenses. And you don't even need the strike on the end of it sometimes. Yet, like you say, Borgie, you've got managers who shun that side of the game because they want to follow Pep. I mean, it is fading a little bit, thankfully, I think. But it's just something that's kind of infuriated me over the years. And I don't think we're quite the worst. I think there's worse than us and Eddie Howe, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean...
do you watch Arsenal? They barely cross the ball as well. It's just like...
And they used to be...
Saka goes in and cuts in. And
so, I mean...
Sorry, Chris.
No, go ahead.
You are beginning to see old style play coming back in some areas, so you're beginning to get the long throws back into the box, and you're beginning to get proper corners being taken, and hopefully it progresses and the managers come up with a different style of play rather than, as you say, a pep ball.
Aye.
Yeah.
How good was it when Arsenal went to Stoke at the Britannia? It was a total clash of styles. It's like, right, let's see who's going to win this. You've got Kraft, you've got silky skill of Wenger's team against the brutal aggression and physicality of Pulis at the Britannia. Let's see who's going to come out on top of this. Whereas it's just the same side playing against each other a lot of the time. Like you say, Boy, things are coming back, thankfully. So hopefully it'll come full circle, if you like.
Yeah, no, definitely. So, back in the day, we're going to finish up with this.
Bag of jeans.
Back in the day, remember, it used to be...
Turn up Troy.
Like Germany's very structured military type football against Argentinian or Brazilian, we're very much, give me the ball and figure it out against, many different types of flavors. Now everybody's just one way of doing it. And it's kind of weird. But anyway, folks, lovely show. We'll be back again tomorrow, match day, of course. And it's going to be about, what time is it? What time was it, Tim? I ain't even got a clue. But it'll be about 2 hours and a half before kickoff, really. So join us. You'll be there anyway. No worries. We'll be there. Hit the like button, subscribe, hit the bell so you get notified every time we're live. Thank you very much, everyone. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new. Thank you to all the super chatters. Warren, of course, Laura, Corey, Tony T, Ian Fleming, Christina for becoming a member, of course. And you might see more of Christina. She took me, to be fair, I was just waking up. That's my excuse. It was 5 a.m. for me. But she put me against the ropes, man. I was dodging her when she called in earlier. She's a happy clapper, Roy. So we gotta, they're spreading like COVID, man. I'm telling you. We gotta wear your mask.
The wind
6 feet away, man. 6 feet away. But anyway, folks, thank you very much. We'll see you on the next one. Away the lads.
Away the lads.
See you later.